I don't want to be right.
What would Socrates say to that?
It tickles my fancy.
Okay.
Goosies.
I don't have hair.
Oof.
You got Marcos.
That's not. No, that's not.
Wait.
Yeah,
That's true. You do got me. Get over here, Marcus. Let me look at you.
I don't want it.
Tobin and Leroy, ready to deploy. Had to hit it with a little journalism, but that was a decoy. Better have about me, boy. Okay. Leroy and Tobin, hold to the show, man. Still to the stars with the show, and till then his half moon open. Sometimes go taste like a snowman. No proof I'm a lie about a molding. No proof. Like I always wanted him, I never hated him, I never traded him, and if I did, I never ever traded him. You know what is a star? Like another city, the driver's side floor. Just like a large, so many more. 10 in the more, never a bar. 8, 10 in the more, 2 to the P. Nothing to you, but it's something to me. Handsome as ever, and cute as could be. You can watch us on YouTube with viewing for free. Ay. This one time for the Twitch. This one time for the text. This one time for the phone line. Whole time wonder what they gonna do next.
You know, I just wish you guys would stop the quibbling.
Good morning, Leroy.
Good morning.
Okay, so no. All right, cool. You can't hear him either, correct?
I can hear you.
No. But can you hear Tobin?
No, I can never hear Tobin.
No. He was talking, but he's not muted. But we can't hear him nonetheless. But I'm sure he said something like, "Morning."
I'm just wondering.
Yeah.
There's a little action in basketball.
Yeah, a little bit.
And what's amazing,
strange, by the way. Like I didn't see that coming. Like I mean, it's not like a blockbuster trade, but it's like
no, but like it's almost like they realize that they're not without Tatum, they're not gonna make that charge. But they got Simons.
Yeah.
Which is like, is that a upgrade? Because they got younger.
Oh, you guys are talking Celtics trade already?
Let me be honest with you.
A little bit of action.
Tobes.
What's up?
It was so bad on my TV last night.
Nothing happening?
Because usually on Mondays,
Mm-hmm.
I can watch Castle. I've seen all the episodes, but you know, I like that show. I like The Rookie. That's also on Lifetime. So usually I used to be able to watch it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Now, at 7 o'clock, Beast's favorite show shows up on my TV. Dr. Pimple Popper is now on Lifetime.
He did love that show. Didn't we have her on one time?
I don't know. I don't remember.
We did.
Gross, too.
And so I was out on that. And then after that, I'm like, well, they'll show a couple of these episodes and I'll be able to watch some other crap.
I'm with you, dude. Like I was sitting here yesterday.
6,000-pound diaries.
Oof.
Right. So
yeah,
you
that's tough.
Like, even me, who has been known to tell a portly joke every now and then, too much.
Wow. Okay.
Too much. I like no.
Frog Boy, what did you do with your Flanagan's jersey night? What did you but with no Panthers, no Heat? We got the draft tomorrow. Did
Inter win?
Inter played to a 2-2 draw, and now they moved on.
They move on.
They're taking on PSG next.
Woo! Where?
In Atlanta, I think.
Whoa! All right.
Yeah. So Messi gets to go up against his former team, the Pinks.
The Pinks.
But so yeah, Frabo, what did you do last night? Did you watch the Pinks or did you just have a night in?
I was fiending for sports action, so I did kind of watch a few highlights from the Pinks. Then my son did that thing where he hid the remote, and I still have so it could be that could be in the shoe.
Man, why does it look like you robbed a leprechaun?
If you came in today, you're wearing green.
It's the Avril Lavigne shirt.
It is. It looks like like Avril Lavigne. Hi.
Hi, mate.
Headlines are brought to you by Doral Hyundai. At Doral Hyundai, choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai models in inventory, like the Tucson, Sonata, and Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. Marlins are going to open up a series with the San Francisco Giants tonight, late night with the Fish, 9:45. Don't do that. I mean, what do you mean? They just won 2 out of 3. You know, like give them a break.
I give them a break. To be honest, it has more to do with that 9:45 to start.
Yeah, it is late. That is late.
So me and Frog Boy, before you got rid of your ventriloquist act,
right?
We were talking about how the Holiday trade, and Simons is a good young player.
Yeah, he's all right. He's good.
All right. I mean, I'm trying to figure out, is Boston saying let's reset and then re-up when Tatum's back?
Well, it's definitely what Boston's doing. Boston is trying
we're not paying all this money, and we don't have a legitimate chance without Tatum. Which
I mean, yeah, it is what they're doing. They're going to trade Jrue Holiday, which they just did, and they're probably going to trade Kristaps Porzingis.
Really?
Yep.
Do we put him in the same class with Joel Embiid?
Like Mr. Street Clothes?
Yeah, like he can play.
He's definitely been injured a lot in his career.
Right.
He's definitely been injured a lot. But yes, Joe Cronin trades back for Jrue Holiday after he had Jrue Holiday from the Dame trade and then flipped him to Boston. He's now back. They get to shave a couple of years. I think Simons is an expiring deal. Maybe he shows out in Boston and they want to go with it, but they basically clear the Jrue Holiday contract, which I think he was getting $30 a year for the next 3 years, something like that.
Right.
So Brad Stevens, he does
how you feel about Jrue Holiday?
How do I feel about? He's a good player.
Okay.
Like, would I want him on the Heat? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. I mean, like we're just the thing is I'm just looking at all the loose parts, right? And listening to all of the stuff that's happening. It doesn't seem like they want to pay Jrue Holiday $30 million for 3 years.
Yeah, that's all it comes down to. Like they're up against. I mean, they have 2 $300 million players. So one of them's going to be out with an Achilles this year. So yeah, they're taking a natural. Let's reset, refocus.
Right.
Some may say that is what proactive organizations do.
What are you trying to say?
Nothing. I'm just saying that's just what some may say. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying some may say that.
I always wonder because fan bases are really, weird in that depending on the franchise that would make a move like this, sometimes the outlash or the comments from fans would be totally different, right? So say if the Heat were to do something similar to that and get rid of one of their guys for, younger guys or whatever, we wouldn't look at that as a vision. We would look at that as, they're just folding it in next year.
I don't know. I mean, I honestly, Leroy, I think that's kind of part of my rant yesterday that
do something.
That like which people think is going to get me banned from the arena, which it's not. I mean, people love me. I'm adorable.
The baby blues.
Okay, maybe that's a little bit strong. I'm not adorable, but I feel like I can
say with your whole chest.
Yeah. I feel like I am going to be okay. If I get thrown into a back room at the Kaseya Center, just tell Diana, Tommy, and Sophia I love them. And if I get broken by Johnny Heat Thumbs, please let me know. But my point of it was, look, even if that is the case, and trust me, you guys know how much I love Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero. Okay, I'm big fans of those guys, but I actually do think that's part of my frustration with the Kevin Durant thing is, okay, you guys didn't really pursue him. You tried to get him basically like you went to Five Below.
But haven't they been doing this for the last 4 or 5 big names?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where people like they won't even have a second conversation because for some reason you think that, oh, we can just offer them this with what is going on in the NBA and how guys and how teams are basically the whole league is F them picks right now.
It's just one of these things like I just looked at what the offer was, and we're going to talk to Anthony Chiang from the Miami Herald. Is going to join us next hour. We'll talk a little bit. He had some great reporting, him and Barry Jackson, on this story. But to go back to your point, like, look, if the Heat are looking at their team and they're saying, hey, we're not good enough. And I think specifically with Tyler, because Tyler's going to be owed a big extension either in October or in the summer. And if you don't think adding Durant to him moves the needle at all, then do you think he's a needle mover at all, Tyler? And like, you know, I just saw Desmond Bane go for 3 first-round picks. I don't know if Tyler will garner that, but there's certainly there seems to be a bit of a logjam of like people want to move to make, but there's not a lot of guys out there. So if the Heat did explore that, I wouldn't be that upset with it. I would kind of get it because that would be more reflective of their behavior of going after Durant very meekly and not doing anything.
Right.
And I see a lot of people who are like, hey, oh, well, the next move is to wait for Giannis. And okay, like maybe that's the next thing you want to pivot to, but that's kind of the point, guys, is like every time the Heat can always say, well, we were working for Giannis. We were working for the 2026.
They just move forward. Right.
It's like, well, okay, then, but so then why were you even in the Durant talks if that's what the case was, right? Like,
well, I think if you know somebody's available, right? I think sometimes your real interest in that player is evident by what you offer for that player, right? And so it almost seemed like the Heat said, let's just throw something out there. If it works, it works. If not, we're good. And that's what that sounded like. Now, that doesn't work well for us because when you hear a player throw your team's name in the hat of teams he would love to go to, then you just automatically assume that the interest of your franchise or your team is the same as yours.
But like even say, let's say the Heat are like there's other, you know who else is going to be gearing up for Giannis, guys? The Rockets. They just got Kevin Durant for basically nothing and still have more assets that at least they're willing to part with.
What about OKC?
Yeah, OKC too, of course.
What if they said we'll give you 7 first rounders?
Of course, if OKC wants to get in the game for anybody, they're in the game for anybody. So it's like, I look, if that's what the thing is, fine. But let's be real about how the Heat have been ending up in these negotiations lately. Right. It's not like Giannis has 1 year left on his deal. And honestly, like, look, the Heat would have intel on it because him and Bam have the same agent. They're going to know if whether or not Giannis wants to be in Miami, if that's the case. But don't act like there's not going to be competition for him.
Right. Or don't act like you're going to have to give up a king's ransom. And I always wonder this. The bigger the star, what is your team going to look like with what you have to trade to get him?
Right. And the other thing is, like, this is going to be this is what the move is going to be. Like, if Giannis does ask out and they don't get him, then they're going to say, no, it was about 26 and getting the cap space. Like, that's what it was. Like, it just feels, it feels like there's
if you know that, and you know that that's what they're thinking is, then why are you so frustrated?
I don't think that's what it is. I think that that's just what they want to say right now. I don't think they've chosen a path. I don't think they know. Like, that's my point.
Okay.
And I don't even know if there's for as much continuity as it doesn't even feel like that there's alignment even within the organization of what they should be. Right. You know, it's and that's why it's so frustrating because it just feels like you're stuck in this no man's land. And
here's what's going to happen is something has happened the last 3 or 4 years that at the end of the season, they can respond with, well, if we were healthy, or well, if we had all our guys, or well, if these guys were here longer. And it just seems like with the way last season played out, that it's going to be a lot of that, you know, same stuff. and it's been a very long time in this organization since they've had a starting five who have played more than 50 games together. I think that is the biggest issue that they've had.
Hey, that's totally fair. Even if you want to just add, first of all, the Jimmy / Wiggins absence this past year was, so from that position, was huge. And then you basically lost Nico for half the season as well. Like,
right.
Totally. You had the Terry Rozier injury. I get it. They've had some snake bit stuff that's happened to them, but
so what part of that is now I'm gonna look at it from the Heat's perspective. All right. How much better would they have been with health? And I'm not even counting the Jimmy stuff.
Mm-hmm. Just with Wiggins there?
Just Wiggins, Jovic. If you just have all of your guys available, right? I'm still pissed off that, how they did Kalel. But, okay, they turned it around at the end and started playing him a lot for 2 minutes, and then he pulled a 2 for 2 and he's out, right? So while they say they really love him, what I'm seeing on the court does not really show that, right? Because a guy that you love, you put your arm around him and get him in gear. You don't go sit him on the end of the bench and he don't play no more for that game. And so the actions, I'm just looking at the actions and trying to read those things.
Let's say, like, if you're to your point of like, what would they? I mean, would they have gone on a 10-game losing streak? Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not. Probably not. That would have been avoided. And so, would you have been that much up against it? I don't know. But would they have been out of the play-in?
And for the last, we can even go back to the bubble. At the end of the season, we've had these same conversations, and the team has hung on to the players because, just give me all 15 for a year. Mm-hmm. Give me 8 for a year. For the last 3 or 4 years, they've been more players for injuries in and out of the lineup. And I just wonder, if you eliminate that, would we think differently about the guys on the team? And would it make it that much easier to make moves? Because half your guys have been injured.
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. I mean, like, you can't ignore that is that's one of those things. But I think there's also there, but I also do think it has felt like there have been obvious upgrades that the roster is needed, and when it's come time to try and make a deal to do it, they go about this in this only very, very much on our terms. Are we going to make a move? And it's like, it's just not going to happen that way.
You're not that guy anymore.
So,
you're not that guy anymore.
Right. It just doesn't go. And so, like, look, even in the scenario of Giannis Antetokounmpo says to his agent, get me to Miami. That's the only place I want to be. It's like, okay, but like, then the Heat are going to go about this. And they're going to be like, guess what? We know Giannis only wants to be with us. 2 first-round picks. Right. Like, what?
Right.
You still got to give up something to get an MVP candidate. And it feels like even if they had that hand and feeling like they got the nuts at the poker table, they're gonna be at, like, they're gonna bluff their hand out of it, and they're gonna be like,
it's like turning your cards over and not getting any bets.
Right.
You showed everybody your hand. I got the nuts. Right. And so yes, I think part of it is that. I think part of it is our interest in a player might not necessarily be the Heat's interest. And that being said, they not only have to look at what this team looks like with that kind of star, they have to look at what the team's going to be with what you have to give up. And we don't always look at all of those aspects of the trade. That being said, you made some BS offers in the last 3 or 4 guys that have been available, to where it almost seems like the other team won't even just talk to you. And it's getting that way with a lot of other teams too, because they know you're coming in with some BS, so they don't even acknowledge it.
We'll take a break here on the program. We'll dive more into the Heat a little bit later on. Lots to get into here in the dog days of summer. Back after this.
Previously on
Tobin and Leroy.
Ribbit. I'm sorry. Ribbit. That's what I say every night.
Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you. AJ Greer of the two-time Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers will be at Palm Beach Autographs in Wellington this Saturday. And this week on Thursday, we're giving away a ticket for you to have a meet and greet and an autograph with him. Just keep on listening to our show for details on how you can win. Palm Beach Autographs is located at the mall at Wellington Green in Wellington. So if you guys want to meet Panthers badass, that fourth line, so good.
That's amazing. Like,
if you got,
they were so deep and so good. Like, it was hard figuring out what line was out there because they were all doing work.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, it's one of the secret sauces is just like having that go so deep. These teams could just drown you by the time a series wore on. It just felt like they were the fresher team. I mean, you even just think to that swing game, game 5. 1 day off, and how much it took for even Edmonton to get back into that game 4. Yeah. Like that just felt like, oh, that was really the death blow to them. And obviously
they've done it over and over and over again. And here's what they do. Like, yeah, you might have the injury in the first game, maybe even the second game. But when it gets to like the third or fourth game, you're starting to see, oh, they're wearing down. They're wearing down. They're wearing down. And it's happened for the last couple of years.
Also coming up this week, tomorrow night, we'll be at the Kaseya Center. Myself and Solano will be hosting the NBA draft show, and does appear the Miami Heat will have their 20th pick. A lot of Walter Clayton Jr. buzz over the last couple of days there, Leroy, the star of the Florida Gators national championship team. A little older, but obviously dynamic shooter, really, really skilled scorer. You know, best player of the Final Four. And so there's some talk that the Heat have had. A CBS reporter, they had a couple of workouts with him. ESPN has them in his mock draft. CBS has him one of the mock drafts. I think Hoops Hype has him one of the mock drafts.
What's a little old?
I think he's 22, 23. It is. I mean, he is. That is old for it is. I know you're laughing, but that is old for the draft. This isn't the NFL where like now be 25-year-old quarterbacks has become the norm.
You know, I was watching, I had never watched The Last Dance. And so I got caught up in that. It was like 4 episodes on last night. And I got to tell you, I haven't gotten to the part where Michael Jordan trashes Scottie Pippen.
Oh, okay. But well, there's a whole episode for it.
The first 4 episodes, all he talks about is how he couldn't win without Pippen.
Mm-mm.
No, it gets worse.
Mm.
All right. And so I was thinking, and this was what's crazy. When he finally won his first championship, it was his 7th year. When did it change? When the greatest to ever do it, it took 7 years, and you can hear all the same stuff you're hearing about all the players now. But when everybody knows how this works, and when guys get into their prime, and when guys start winning, why do we like do what we're doing with like Ant-Man or even as much as Tyrese Haliburton, like just young guys who haven't gotten to that point yet? We're like calling them like, oh, it can't win the big one. Can't do it. Like we're doing it with Tyler. He can score, but he ain't that guy. Like, okay, we've heard this before.
I would say probably LeBron's coverage definitely had a lot to do with that.
Oh, LeBron turned it well, and how old was he? He won in his 6th year.
Yeah, he won.
But he had been to 3 or 4 finals.
Well, he won his 3rd finals. He won. Right. They got swept by San Antonio. Right. They lost in 6 to the Mavs, and then he won his 2nd year with the Heat.
Right. So, but yeah. So even that, like we see all these great players, and the things and how long it took them to finally win a championship. Why do we not like understand that these guys aren't? When you look at Tyler, when you look at Bam, when you look at some of the young players you have on your team, and we say, oh, he's this, he's that, he can't do it, he's not going to be able to. Like I think part of it is now with Jaime, who had a terrible year, right? But the history of basketball has shown that no matter how good you are in the beginning, and And SGA is ruining this thought process, by the way. Is his 4th year?
No, he's been in the league longer than that.
It's 4th or 5th. And so with SGA, like, because that team was so young, now we're starting to think, oh, that's just the norm now. It's not. So don't we have to be a little more patient with some of the guys we have on the Heat team is basically what I'm getting at. Because when the greatest of the great didn't win till 26, 27, why are we getting on our young players because they're not winning now?
Just for the record, it's SGA's 7th season.
7. Okay, so look, that's more in line with what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So why, like, how we are with Tyler, how we are with Bam, right? Like, that process has been proven to take some time. But are we just that impatient? Or, like,
I mean, I think it's just when you have a guy who you draft a little bit older, your inclination is they're going to be a little bit closer to their finished product. Like, that just is what it is. Like, if you look at a guy like with the Heat, I think one of the reasons you have a little bit more leeway with somebody like Kalel or with Nico as opposed to Jaime is because of the age. Okay, like, even if Jaime's not at his prime, if you're like, well,
he should be farther along than the other guys because he's older.
Either if it's not further along or he just is what he is. I think that's the question. It's not that it's impossible. I mean, guys, like LeBron improved his 3-point shot as he went on. I'm not comparing Jaime to LeBron, but I'm just saying, like, Jaime's big knock wasn't a good shooter in college. Hasn't really shown it in the NBA at all. And is there really any hope that that's going to tick up? Like, if you look at somebody like Jovic, I mean, he comes into the league, he's literally a child. He's not.
Yeah, but he's been playing professional basketball.
Understood, but he still doesn't have like his professional body yet. And then you look at him just a year later. How much he's grown?
Would you say there?
Professional body.
Oh, okay. And you've been poo-pooing on me for saying stuff like that. Getting their man body.
I didn't poo-poo anything. I didn't do anything. I don't know what you're talking about. All I did was give credit to Tyler Hero. Hold on. All I did every single summer was give credit to Tyler Hero. And you're like, fake muscles. That's what you did.
Like you develop as a person. Your body starts getting acclimated to the grind. So that's where you get all that stuff from.
My point. So I think we kind of got off of this. So you're good with the Heat drafting somebody his age at 22, just turned 22 in the spring?
I'm not. I mean, here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to sit here and act as if though being 22 means that once you get the job, you should be better than somebody who's 19. Okay? I just think that in sports, regardless of how old you are, you still have the same type of transition to the NBA. Mm-hmm. And so I don't necessarily look at the age. And the other thing is drafting somebody 22 or drafting somebody 19. The way the NBA works, ain't no damn guarantee you're going to have that kid when he's 27, 28 anyway.
And one of the things I like, I mean, the dude has been a lights out shooter his entire college career.
And that would help.
And that would help. I mean, like that is
a lot.
He was 39% last year on 8 attempts, 39% his entire career.
That which basically means he could move Kalel closer to the coach and he could send Kalel's spot because he's not a big, so he could play early.
No, he's a point guard. Yeah, I
would like to see a combination of, so if they were to draft him, I would say he takes the early Tyler role, like almost a 6-man.
6-man, yeah.
Davion moves to the starting role because I like Tyler off the ball, running around, right, and creating. And Davion can get into the one thing that he's shown is that no matter what, he's going to get into the paint, and that's that's something that could help everybody else. But I like. Basketball is weird in that we know so much more about the football players when they come out, except offensive linemen. right? We know so much more about the skill positions. And in basketball, besides Cooper Flag, right? Like it's really going to be hard to like for me personally to even determine whether it was a good pick or a bad pick, because like it's up in the air. It's in basketball, it seems like, oh, if you need a big and you draft top 5, then you're going to take a big. Like it's not like that in football. Football, a lot of times you just take the best rated player.
We'll take a break here on the program. I want to flip to the Panthers just a second. Some interesting stuff coming out of Locker Cleanout Day. They did their media sessions. So we'll hear from some of your cats, including a very wise Sergei Bobrovsky.
The Panthers and Heat.
Welcome back, you rascals. Tobin and Leroy here with you. We're streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, the channel Miami 560 WQAM.
Hey, Tobes.
Yes, sir.
I'm in the chat.
Yep.
Smeethan. Brother, it's the 20th pick. Save yourself. Spend some time with your loved ones.
You know what? Schmeethan's so right, because I spent part of my legitimately part of my Saturday night was doing draft research, and I'm just like, man, I don't know.
Who are these guys?
I'm like, I don't know if I like any of these guys. I'm like, because it's one of those things where, first of all, I don't know. I'm not a big college basketball fan, to be fair. Like I haven't. I'm watching 8-minute YouTubes of these guys. Now, I was telling you what, I was happy as hell last year when Khalil Ware got drafted. I was like, yes, somebody I looked up. I was like, I knew this guy coming in.
You know all I wanted.
And you wanted size. So like I was fired up for that one. I feel like I've got a good balance of where this will go as far as like all the names that have been around, unless like somebody drops like a stone. Like it's weird because there's
one kid that he was supposed to be like a top 3 pick, and now he might drop because he didn't work out for anybody.
Yeah, Ace Bailey.
Ace Bailey's
making a stink. He's shadoring himself apparently.
Really?
Not like showing up for workouts. He's demanding a promise at picks. But he was supposed to be top 3 pick, and now everybody's like, I don't know. We'll see.
NBA is different than football because your talent doesn't automatically transfer to the next level, right? Because there's so many different parts of it. You could be a great shooter, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to shoot the 3 in the NBA, especially with defenders all over you, with all the wing defenders they have. And if you can't then shoot as well as you did and you don't play defense, right? Like, so there's a lot that goes into going from college to the NBA.
No, it's definitely one of those things where how the organization, what do they want out of you? Like, what are they expecting out of you? And the thing that's interesting, I think, about this draft is, you have a couple of teams up there in Philadelphia and San Antonio who are like not expected to be bad this year. So like how much, how much does that play into who they'll draft? Like, do you still just draft the top talent? Probably. But I think if one guy is expecting to be looked upon as like the star of the team, he's like, I don't want to go to Philadelphia. Like they already have X, Y, and Z. So maybe that's why he's tanking his stock and things like that. But yeah, I definitely feel what Schmeethan's saying. I was looking up like a draft. I was like, all right. I'm like, Asa Newell, huh? All right, let's take a look at this guy. So that's what I did part of my Saturday night, and I got more to do today before our draft show tomorrow night.
You did that on Saturday night?
Yeah, I was doing it kind of in the midst of watching Love Island as well.
Loser.
So
I know I was a loser.
Hey, I almost started to watch Love Island because you guys were blowing, just my phone wouldn't stop.
Casa Amor yesterday.
But I didn't know. Was on Netflix?
It's on Peacock.
I don't have that. Do I?
Yes, you do. You weren't you watching a game?
Did you watch a major or something?
Yeah, yeah, but that was like the way they did it was they had 3 channels that wasn't the main coverage, and those only 3 channels followed one group. So each channel followed one group. So it wasn't like full coverage. So yeah, I had it, but
that's what
that was literally last week though. So you don't have Peacock anymore?
I don't know. No, but that was on regular DirecTV. Just Peacock just had more channels at the time. So I have to check. That's
where you got to find it. Peacock is where you got to find it. We're watching that.
I will send out if I get into it. How many? How far along are we?
We're like halfway through the season because it's
how many episodes?
17, I think.
So far.
Yeah,
I caught up.
Take out a couple of like some After Suns and things like that. So maybe like 13 real episodes.
Yeah, I skipped those. But if you're gonna watch one, just watch the Megan Thee Stallion one.
Okay.
Well, that episode's just cheeks. That's all that episode is.
It was a fun show. I mean, episode.
All right.
You'll like it. You won't complain.
All right.
It's it was like I told you, the eliminations were stupid this week. Some weasel picks, even Casa and Moore. Like we were watching this, just like, hey, there's no there's like one couple that you just don't want to break up. Everybody else kind of is like they're not. You could tell they're not that into each other.
Who's the one couple you wouldn't want to break up?
I think Taylor and Alondria, is that her name? She's like that's the only couple that's they're rock solid. They're not
girl names.
Yes, they are 2 girl names. That is fair. That is fair. A man who's got a man's name, Sergei. He spoke this weekend. This was on Saturday before the parade. They had clean out the locker room, exit media, and Sergei Bobrovsky was asked about going to 11 and kind of being chill. And Sergei explains why he doesn't go crazy celebrating. And this is what Bob had to say on that.
It has the big energy. You know? It's definitely fun time, but I don't know. I'm a little different. I celebrate a little different, so I'm not like overexcited about the things. I'm just I don't know. I feel as I said, I feel humble and appreciated for the opportunity, and I want to keep that way. You know, I feel like it's so close. Everything is so tight, and you know, it could go any way at any time. And I also like there is on the other side there is also 20 warriors who compete and work hard in each and every game and each and every round against us, and they could also be on our spot. You know, so consider all those things. I don't know. I keep my humbleness and appreciation to the God what he made me go through. You know, and keep that way.
Wow.
What was the question?
Why he didn't celebrate at 11 like everybody else did.
That was
because
that little Mike McDaniel in there. That little Paul Maurice.
We got some philosophical Bob after the season, not just reset, refocus.
Yeah.
Humble.
I don't like sparklers and popping bottles.
Astron's not going to get me.
Oh, man. This was Sergei asked by our boy, the hockey hornet, David Bork, why he only cuts his hair once a year.
About your haircut, it seems that you do it just once a year. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty much. I like to refresh it and then grow it for the season. I do a little like shaping and stuff, but I would say it's pretty accurate.
Is there any reason behind that?
No, not much. You know, not much. It's just kind of, as I said, it's refreshing. Get kind of new start, new preparation. You know, it's getting ready for new season and for the new challenges and new experience.
Wow.
Again, kind of.
He's refreshed.
I mean, all right.
Refreshed in the summer. If you thought that was philosophical, wait till you hear his answer on what it means when you're in the same room as the Stanley Cup.
It has the big energy. You know, it's in every room, any place you go. It's well known. You know, everybody respect that. Everybody wants to make a picture, and all the hockey players wants to win it. You know, it's a tough trophy to win, and we enjoy that. You know, it was a war. It was a tough playoff, and we beat the good teams. You know, and also to I feel like it's still the process to get that. That's the biggest thing. You know, what you're going through. That's just the trophy is kind of like a culmination of the all the war and all the emotions you went through.
Wow.
What?
As, Karen and Timbo say, big cup energy.
Leroy, it's a good thing he's talking because then you'll be like, wow, he's a man of few words.
Yeah. Wow.
I mean, we've interviewed him and
He's expressing himself.
Yeah, I mean, all right.
He's very he's in deep feelings right now.
It's very focused.
Really, you would have thought he lost. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah.
Like, we just went to war. Those are 20 guys on the other team. They're a good team as well. We beat the good teams. It was hard, and I'm just like, they're pouring champagne for the second floor of Elbow Room. Bob, you can relax a little, dude. It was war. He's got PTSD from winning.
He does.
I love him. I love everything about him and how he handles himself.
My favorite Bob thing is when they start fighting in front of the net and he's just stays over.
Oh man, it's so great.
It's just let me know when you guys are done.
JFig's nailed it.
Oh,
right
okay.
there.
Yeah, it's just standing over in the corner.
And the darkness really does help this situation right here because this is exactly what it is.
Yes. And
Sergei
I'm like, wait
Bobrovsky.
a minute. 5 seconds ago, they were fighting over top of you. How did you end up in the corner
How did
over
you
there?
manage to get out?
Right.
Bob's like one of those bad guys. Like whenever there was a melee in cartoons, and like the bad guy would always just let people beat up each other amongst themselves, and he would just be off in the corner, snuck out of. Like it'd always be like a dust ball of fighting, and he would just be out of there.
Yep.
It was like a classic Bugs Bunny move. We'll take a break. Hour two
fight
is next.
Thank you, Bob.
Muchas gracias.
If Love and Gogi is wrong, I don't want to be right.
What would Socrates say to that?
It tickles my fancy.
Okay.
Goosies.
I don't.
It's our Tua.
This is
Why?
I played this out of shame after playing the intro for the second hour. So now I shamefully play
What
out.
just happened? Like, who was chatting your ear off? That you.
No,
But
don't blame
in
me.
a good
Don't
way,
blame
though.
me.
No.
I didn't do anything.
Because sometimes it's like someone else who doesn't respect the lie.
So it was you two hobnobbing with one another, and you just played the show open again,
correct.
and then switched to Sad Hour Tua.
Yeah, and then I had opportunity to play the normal hour tool, but I didn't deserve it.
Wow.
Sometimes
All right.
you got to pull yourself out the game.
I
Coach,
understand.
that
That's
was
on me. That's on me. What off me, Coach? Headlines are brought to you by Doral Hyundai. Doral Hyundai, choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai miles in inventory of the Tucson, Sonata, and Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. We're going to talk to Miami Herald, Miami Heat beat reporter Anfernee Chiang coming up later on this hour. Love checking in with Anthony as we are on the eve of the NBA draft, and of course, a weekend that I'm sure got ruined by him on Sunday. I think what he was like, oh man, Kevin, I just wanted to enjoy my Sunday. Then you catch some Panthers parade coverage. He's like, oh, stupid Rockets.
Because you got to report. Like, it's his.
Yeah, you have to. It's your job.
I know it sucks.
Not only
I'll do this later.
Not only did he report, but he gave the goods, and maybe sent me off into an immature tantrum yesterday.
It's pretty amazing how hockey and basketball, right after the season, there's action. Whereas football, there's delays in every process. Yeah.
Yep. Gotta wait.
Yesterday, period, tampering period, like. It's just drawn out. I think it should end as soon as the Super Bowl's over. Let's trade some folks.
In Club World Cup, the Pinks, they played to a 2-2 draw yesterday against Palmeiras, and they have moved on to the round of 16. They will take on PSG. Messi revenge game Sunday at noon in Atlanta. How did we not get that game?
Strange. You know what's interesting, though?
Well, because before they do this, they don't know what teams are going to make it.
I thought we
and they just have sites.
Wink.
Oh, we get all the games. All of them.
Is this a barometer to find out if we're actually good? Because I feel these other teams like
they just. I don't. What's the cup? I'm so embarrassed. I don't know this. What's the cup that PSG just won? They won the cup, right? The Champions League.
Yeah, the cup,
Premier League, whatever that is, the Super Duper League. They won that. Because they just the Super Duper League. They just won that because they lost Mbappe. I know that, and then they ended up winning the whole damn thing, and everyone was mocking Mbappe.
They won the UEFA champions.
Yeah, that thing. Big test. Big test. Are they sending all their dogs?
That's a good question. This is the Super Duper Cup, so they may have to.
Is this bigger than what they just won?
I don't think so. Nah, I don't think so. But I do think that they will be sending their dogs, and I do think it's an opportunity for us to find out, is this team good? Because everyone's like, oh, Messi.
Good measuring stick. It's a good measuring stick to see if Messi's the real deal.
Right? I just want to see. Because
got to find out if he's really good at this soccer thing. He turns 38 today, by the way. Happy birthday to Messi.
Really?
38.
Happy birthday.
You think Messi, what does he go to, Flanny's? You think he goes to Publix? What do you think he does for what do you get for the man who has everything?
He probably cooks himself a meal.
Cooks himself? No way he cooks himself a meal.
From Publix.
I don't think he knows how to cook.
What?
He's been playing professional soccer since he was 12.
You don't think, like, what's the level of can't cook? Like, you don't think Messi could grill a steak?
No, he can. I mean, he can do the
Can
basic.
he cook breakfast?
Can Messi make breakfast?
Yeah, but he's burning something. If it's not the toast, it's the bacon.
Really?
Guys, when is the last time you think Messi cooked for himself?
He got kids? Yesterday.
Yeah, but he's probably got a personal chef, Leroy. He probably does.
Wait.
This man was found.
Hold on. Tobin,
That's true.
Marcos,
Yep.
you got kids.
Yeah.
You think when them kids get up at 6:30 in the morning, they waiting for somebody to come over to the house and cook?
I think Pierre's always on call.
Okay.
Pierre.
So you call Pierre.
Garcon.
We want some eggs Benedict. He got to come over to the house. You have young kids. Are they waiting?
Well, I imagine him having like a chef bat cave.
Go ahead and serve my child some cereal. He's hungry.
I'm sure he'll do some cereal. He'll put some cereal in a bowl until Pierre.
I don't know. Y'all world is a little bit off of
But we're talking about, I'm not talking about like an athlete, like just, any professional athlete, like I'm talking about the richest of the rich, like I imagine LeBron's chef doesn't leave. Like I think he probably has like a bat cave and he just goes down and like he slides down the pole when he's done, like a fireman, and then he goes, okay, back to the cooking cave.
Now?
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Listen, if I'm rich, I need a fireman's pole.
No, I mean, listen, he's got probably the best bat cave there is. Like I'm sure he's living large down there in the bat cave, but that's how I picture it. If you're LeBron's chef, you're always on call. That's how I picture it for Messi.
Yeah,
you don't think so?
This is the goat of the goat.
Think about, okay, let's be realistic. You have a chef, right?
Yep.
And you have a family. And you're on the road 100 times a year.
Right. Does he pack the meals?
No. Does he leave that man in his house with his wife and kids?
I personally wouldn't.
Right.
But, like, what is a personal?
Y'all think about the wrong things.
You don't think that Messi's chef, like, if he gets paid, I don't know, what is Messi, like $500,000 to fuel one of the most elite athletes on the planet?
Yeah.
You don't think he's on call always? Like, that's the deal?
Yeah, I could imagine that. But again, are we missing the point about kids?
I get it, but I think little Messi's are like, Pierre, Captain Crunch, please.
Yeah.
We'll put it in a pancake with an ostrich egg.
Nope. Here's how I've pictured. Here I picture the Messi kids. How long, Dad? When is he coming over?
I just can't. Like, no, I just don't. I can't. You're acting like you think Messi has to deal with the same things I do with Tommy, where it's like, hey, I want toast, Nutella toast. I don't think so.
What your kids? Your kids don't know how famous you are. They want breakfast.
I don't know.
What the hell are you talking about?
Well, you didn't. I don't know, because you didn't have kids when you played. So maybe if you did, you would have been like, go bother Pierre, snitchy mouse.
Yeah.
No.
Now, Dave South.
That's why guys have wives.
Dave South says, from his research, which I always trust his research, he does have a personal chef, but I think Leroy's thing is he thinks that like Messi has to pick up the phone, call the personal chef, and then he has to, fight through Brickell traffic, do whatever he does.
So you want wait. Whoa.
Yeah.
Right, so this man lives
Let
in
me
Brooklyn.
explain something to you knucklehead. Okay? So your wife, D. Glennis, right? You're telling me, so say if you're on a tour where you taking Crowder all over the world, you covering a fight or whatever, because you won't take me, so I just use Crowder.
What?
So we're gonna take Crowder, and y'all on a tour, right? You telling me you're not gonna feel uncomfortable with your chef at your house with your wife and kids?
No, my 52-year-old Peruvian grandmother chef.
Oh no! Wait!
Yes.
Whose name is Pierre?
No.
I feel like
Y'all not being real.
I feel like
real.
No, but I feel like the rich always have to worry about like the trainer or the pool boy. I don't know. There's something not there's something not Astron about a chef,
Here's what I picture. Messi's gone, Pierre's over, and he's going, come here, Miss Messi. Taste this.
Maybe. I just no.
Get you some of that. Right?
Yeah, but I don't think that personal chef wants to lose that bag, because Messi's got those ring cams.
Hey.
I don't think they care.
Why you think people that cheat do some illegal crap or do some stuff that ain't no good. Have a
I
conscience.
don't
You
know.
ain't think about that money.
I just don't feel like I don't feel like the personal chef, like there's many fantasies around that. Maybe I'm crazy.
Personal
Watch out for
chef
that
comes
pool boy.
over. Personal chef probably comes over, cook some lunch, cook some dinner, out. He ain't meeting you at your house at 5:36 in the morning. And then you leave and go fly across the country. And I'm tell you what, what?
Can you ask somebody? You have a bill.
Wait, y'all sitting here acting like y'all wouldn't have a problem with this.
Can I ask you a question?
I know people.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Because you have some real big wigs as far as friends are concerned.
Yeah.
Can you waste their time during the show? And can you ask them? I'm talking about the rich. Can you ask them? Hey, does your personal chef live with you, on call, near you? What's the deal?
I have an answer for you because we can talk about my buddy in Sarasota.
Okay.
Right? He has meals. He has everything cooked, right? He does not have a chef. He has the people like from the restaurant when he has a dinner at his house, come to his house and cook it.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
So while he don't, if he needs a little mighty bite, something to get tide him over or whatever, he'll call the golf course and have the cooks there or somebody run him some food from the golf course because he lives, on that property. So while you talking about having a guy live at, no.
All right, I'm very.
Ain't nobody like you're crazy.
Well, you know what's funny? My aunt who lives in Texas actually has a maid that lives with them.
Ooh.
I've seen that.
She's had that for quite some time. I feel like now, not anymore, but it was weird.
It's weird, right?
I did personally when I stayed over. I didn't really like running
rando walking through the house.
Awkward, yeah.
Right.
And then she tried helping me.
I don't know what world y'all living in.
I'm talking about the richest athlete in the world. I think you're crazy to think he doesn't have a chef there at many times.
Hey, I'm saying that when little Messies get up in the morning and they want daddy to make some breakfast, daddy got to make some breakfast. He ain't got to wait. Kids ain't waiting for no chef. Like, come on. Wait, you telling me kids are going to wait? We drove to Texas one time. We got off the sawgrass and my daughter asked me how much longer. So, yeah. Like real versus your little dream world
You picture the Messies going on a road trip to Daytona?
No, I'm just saying that I know how patient kids are. It don't matter how much money you got. They ain't waiting for Pierre to come over to the house. They want breakfast when they get up.
Take a break.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. What is Tommy and Sophia waiting?
I'm not a Messi.
It doesn't matter. They're still kids. They don't know no difference.
Look, I don't understand. This is crazy to me. Why even have the chef if he's not available at all times if you're Messi?
If I'm out. All times. Not at 5:30 in the morning to come fix your kid's breakfast unless he's living there. If he's living there with Messi traveling 100, 200 days out of the year in different countries and stuff like that.
Why does Messi's chef have to be horny?
Yeah, it's a girl.
They all are.
No, listen, this is an older woman. I just found out it's an older
woman. Okay, so now what about that?
Oh, no. That's why she's an older woman. No threat.
Antonia.
We'll take a.
Like that's real talk. That's real.
It's not real talk. You're being ridiculous, thinking that Messi's kids wake him up and are like, "Dad, make me a souffle."
Okay.
Take a break. We're back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you. 560 WQAM. Going to talk to Anfernee Chiang, Miami Heat reporter from the Miami Herald, coming up here in about 10 minutes. He got their draft tomorrow. We know missed out on Kevin Durant. Now moving on to whatever the hell Plan B is. Maybe nothing. Who knows? We'll talk to Anfernee a little bit about that coming on up. But Leroy, can we get a weather update from the Demesman and Dover Law Firm? YourAccidentAttorneys.com. Free consultations 24/7. Call at 866-954-MORE.
All right. One big happy family.
All right, man. Just get to the
All
weather.
right. Winds are whipping today. Going at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Winds are out of the east. It is partly cloudy. Always prepare for a passing shower this time of year in the evening. And it's about 88, 90 degrees.
How'd you do, Froggy?
Excellent as usual. Winds coming out of the east at 15 miles per hour, currently 90 degrees.
Are you dude, are you kidding me?
What? What?
Like, how is it every day your journey back from the Windowplex gets louder and louder?
Because look, here's my little boom. And when I grab my headphones, I hit the thing's holding it.
You
like
hit
I'm
the
trying
spring.
to miss it. I hit the spring. I'm sorry.
You sound like you're tush pushing through for 3rd and 1.
Listen,
the Dolphins should play that in the stadium.
It's gonna take more than a couple of hands to push my tush.
Anyway, how did he do, Marcos?
Great. 90 degrees right now. Winds 15 miles per hour out of the east. Straight shower, thunderstorm possible.
All right, there you go. Want to let you guys know AJ Greer of your Florida Panthers champion. He's going to be at Palm Beach Autographs in Wellington this Saturday. And on Thursday, we're going to give you a chance to win a ticket for the meet and greet and an autograph with him. Just keep listening to our show. We'll give you details on how you can win. Palm Beach Autographs is located at the mall at Wellington Green in Wellington. We're going to take a break, a quick segment here because we're going to make way for Anfernee Chiang for the Miami Herald, talk a little Kevin Durant trade with him, and where the Miami Heat go from here. We're back after this.
WQAM broadcasting live from the Ed Moore Sawgrass Auto
I don't understand why.
Welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. We're streaming live on YouTube and Twitch, the channel Miami 560 WQM, and free on the Odyssey app, AUDACY, free in your app store. You guys can use the rewind feature and catch us whenever, wherever we're meant to be together. I'll be here. You'll be near. And that's the rest, my dear.
Okay.
What's going on here?
Shakira.
You know what? I knew that sounded familiar. I don't like it. Why you gotta go that route?
Is that the lyric though? Man,
I don't know. I mixed 2 songs. I just don't. I didn't know any other sticking point for Shakira other than Shakira. We'll talk to Anfernee Chiang here any minute. He should link in with us here, and we'll talk a little Miami Heat with him as the Heat have the 20th pick in tomorrow night's draft. You guys can get our coverage tomorrow here on 560 WQAM. Myself and Solana will take you guys up until the 20th pick and have all your coverage. I believe we'll have some Heat great stop by along the way. Has some fun there. Mock drafts out today. They're all getting updated, and I'm getting all excited. We know Cooper Flag, the flying intangibles, is going to be going number 1 overall.
He's got mad hops too, though. Let's not.
No, he does. He does. He does, dude. He does. He definitely does. And I'm sure it's going to be a scene tomorrow when he gets drafted. Somehow, some way, the Dallas Mavericks get gifted Cooper Flag right after losing Luka Doncic.
Oh, we know. Mm-hmm. That's right, though, because I got my eye on someone no one's mentioning.
Who's that?
Igor Demon is probably not how you pronounce his name. It's probably Demon, but
why do you have your eye on him?
6'8", point guard, Russian.
Oh, worked out for the Panthers. Out for the Panthers. Let's go to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. And there we will find the great Anfernee Chiang, Miami Heat beat reporter from the Miami Herald. Anfernee, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm good, buddy. My first question to you is, what were your plans on Sunday before Kevin Durant ruined them?
I actually was home that day, it was good timing. It wasn't bad timing. The day before would have been bad. I had my daughter's dance recital, so I'm glad it happened on Sunday. I kind of had a feeling it would happen by the end of the weekend, so I was like, Sunday, I'm going to watch the Panthers parade. I'm going to stay home, see if there's news. So it all things considered, when it could have happened, it was good timing.
What was, I guess, your level of surprise that the Heat didn't pull in Kevin Durant? There was, it seemed like some momentum was building from them from all the rumors and rumblings that were out there, but ultimately he ends up with Houston.
I wasn't too surprised because I knew they were going to draw a line, and other teams had more assets to put in the Durant trade, right? Houston, San Antonio really didn't get involved, but Houston had more assets. Minnesota had more assets. They probably should have been more, I don't want to say desperate, but more eager to get a Kevin Durant because they felt like Kevin Durant Houston puts them in a contenders. I mean, they're already contenders, right? But with Kevin Durant, now you could put them among the top 5 teams in the league, right? With Durant in Miami, yeah, he would have made them better, but are they a title contender? I think most would say probably not. So I think it just made more sense for Houston, and they also had more stuff to give. So I wasn't too shocked. Too shocked by the news. And again, just throwing the fact of knowing that they weren't going to put in everything to get KD. I mean, this was the same thing at the trade deadline. They had a chance to get him. Phoenix wanted too much. The Heat weren't willing to give up, Khalil Ware, all their young players, their draft picks. And we saw the same thing this time around where they had a line they drew and they weren't going to go past it. And they really didn't budge.
Well, Anfernee, first of all, this guy right here now all of a sudden tries to be reasonable radio guy. But I was saying the same thing, that all these other teams have so many more assets to offer. And he wasn't having it. Now, all of a sudden, he's open to the conversation, which is amazing to me. That being said, based on what the Heat offered, I came to the conclusion they weren't as interested as maybe we thought they were. Because there is no way you could think, because the Heat know what everybody else has to offer.
Sure.
So you have to be in the ballpark, to maybe your player is more appealing, and then we can work out the draft picks. But if you don't put anything out there that's appealing, and all these teams have all these assets, how can you think that, to me, it just seemed like, based on what they offered, the Heat weren't as interested as we thought they were.
Yeah, I think they were scared off, obviously, by his age, and be 37, injury history. Like the thought of, what if we give up Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, these salary fillers, right? These big contracts that we could maybe use in another trade, multiple picks, or even one first-round pick, and then he gets injured mid-season, right? I know that's a what if, and you never know, but he is going to be 37. Can you depend on Kevin Durant to play at a high level through a long playoff run? We just saw in the playoffs this year, right? They're grueling, long playoffs. All the injuries this year, so it's tough. Like it's you have to weigh the pros and cons. Obviously, they're interested in Kevin Durant. I mean, he's an all-time great, still one of the NBA's top offensive players.
Right.
You look at his level of efficiency, amazing. But I think what we saw was they were scared off by his age and injury history, and also kind of like they were faced with the reality of maybe we're not a Kevin Durant away, right? Like maybe that's kind of the decision. They met, they talked it over. What are we going to do? What are we going to offer? What does Kevin Durant do for us if we give up these pieces and we deplete some of our depth? Where are we? Maybe they came to the realization that, look, that's not enough. So kind of a tough place to be if you're the Heat or a Heat fan, but I think that's kind of what we saw in the last few days.
And I think my unreasonableness yesterday and why I was just upset is I don't really know where the direction is here then, right? Because they're going to be faced with this decision on Tyler Hero's extension. And we know, like in this new NBA, like, hey, once you kind of invest in your top two guys, investing in a third is very tough. It's very punitive. And if you don't feel close, hell, you can see some of the decisions that have to be made around the league. And so I'm just wondering, if you don't think you're a Kevin Durant away, then what does it say about what the organization truly thinks about Bam and Tyler being atop the organization? And do they have to come to some kind of decision there with them?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. And that's why it's going to be such an interesting offseason, I think, because they do have to pick a direction. And that Kevin Durant decision might have been them signaling what direction they're picking, right? This team is never going to be a total tear down and the complete rebuild and trade everybody and just hoard 15 draft picks. That's not what they do. But could you see some type of rebuild? Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, unless Giannis becomes available and you surprisingly have enough assets to get Giannis, which they haven't had enough assets to get any star the last 5 years, right? Unless that happens, like that's kind of like the direction they're being forced to go. If you bring back most of this roster and without a significant star addition, you can't be in the luxury tax this year. Not because of money, but you're facing the repeater tax if you're in the luxury tax this year. It's just not smart business-wise, basketball-wise, the limitations that come with that stuff. You're probably going to have to shed money to get under the tax just because it makes sense, because you're not a true title contender. So they're going to be forced to pick a direction unless something surprisingly happens and comes up and an opportunity comes up to get a superstar in the next few months. I think they're going to have to pick it in that direction they pick is going to be probably to do a little bit of a rebuild, because that's really their only choice at this point.
Are you shocked that the way they talk about Khalil and Jovic, yet the way they played them doesn't really match up to what they think of those two guys? Because Khalil couldn't get on the floor in the beginning of the year, and now they're saying we can't trade him. We can't get rid of him. Well, he should be farther along, because I think you should have just took your lumps early on. You won 37 games, and you still have questions because he would sit on the end of the bench after 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a fair point, but I will say the counterpoint is toward the end of the season, Khalil Ware was a big part of what they did, right? The last 3 or 4 months, I mean, he was a starter. I know in the playoffs, kind of got played off the court a little bit, matchup-wise, his first playoff experience, but for the most part, he was a full-time starter those last 3 or 4 months. And Jovic, before the injury,
yeah, he was good.
He was playing maybe his most consistent role yet of his career and most consistent basketball of his career. And I think the Heat during that flash before the hand injury They were playing better. Jovic was a big part of that. I'm not saying Jovic's injury is why they won a 10-game losing streak, but there was that correlation of Jovic goes out, they start losing a bunch of games. So I think, yes, they didn't play a ton early in the season. Jovic lost his starting spot. He fell out of the rotation. But the second half of the season, Ware was obviously a full-time starter. And Jovic, if you take away the injury, which is, lost a month and a half or so, he would have been a big part of that rotation as a sixth man. So maybe Jovic starts this year, maybe he doesn't. But I think if he's obviously still on the roster, he's going to be a big part of what they do. He has to be at this point.
Right. How much of this, and I tried to put myself in the Heat's position, and how much of this, because we've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 years, if we were healthy, this would be different. And they've been saying it because they've had key injuries for the last 3 or 4 years, and every year they'd come back because they don't really know what they have because everybody's been banged up. I don't think they played the same starting 50 games.
Yeah. No,
so how can you evaluate your team and your players when every one of them has missed substantial time other than Bam?
Yeah, I mean, this year, Hero and Bam were pretty healthy. The two best players were pretty healthy.
Right.
Yes, Jovic missed time. Ware really didn't have any big injuries. It was just kind of here and there, maybe miss a game or two.
Right.
Hawkins had his little, in and out during the season. Terry Rozier was available for most of the season for all the rotation. He was available. So injuries weren't as much of a problem this year. I just think it was more the rotation was always in flux because they were trying to find something that worked. Obviously, the Jimmy stuff played a role in that. But when your rotation is in flux like that, and it's not because of injuries, it's more just because of trying to find some formula that works, usually means you're not a very good team, right? So I think that's the bottom line here is they found something that kind of worked down the stretch with Alec Burks and Davion Mitchell in the starting lineup. Got him into the playoffs. They used that lineup in the play-in tournament. But yeah, I think everything's on the table now. If they bring back most of this roster, we know Bam and Tyler will probably start. Will definitely start. But beyond that, you'd think Khalil Ware starts. You would think if Davion's back, Davion starts. But who knows? Davion could be coming off the bench next year. So I think, I think we don't know kind of what this rotation will look like because there were so many variations of it last season.
So you had a little reporting on the status of DeRozan, DeMar DeRozan, and Jonathan Kuminga and where the Heat's interested. Can you give us, I guess, the latest on where the Heat stand? Because their name was kind of kicked around with rumors there as backup plans. So do you have anything on that as far as where they stand or may stand with those guys?
Yeah, I know that the Heat has been linked to them by multiple reports the last week or so. Barry and I touched base with both those guys as of, I think it was Sunday. Was that the Kevin Durant trade? I'm losing my track of days right now. I think as of Sunday, both the Heat has not been in contact yet with either of those guys, and either in regard to either of those guys. So obviously that could change. That was Sunday. The Kevin Durant trade just happened. Maybe yesterday or today that changes, but as of Sunday, there had not been any contact, in regard to both of those names, DeMar and Kuminga. DeRozan is interesting. I know Heat fans aren't super excited if they get DeRozan, but his contract is interesting because he only has $10 million guaranteed next season, which is a pretty good contract, right? Like if you're looking for 2026 cap space, and yes, it's that $10 million, but it's not $30 million. So if you can get off a bigger contract for DeRozan, and you're able to save money next year, that might be appealing to the Heat while also getting DeMar DeRozan. Is he going to make you a championship contender? No. But could he help your offense? Yeah, why not, right? Like it doesn't hurt to have DeMar DeRozan, and he will take some of the pressure off of Tyler Hero. So we'll see. But yeah, as of Sunday, there had been no traction.
So you're basically saying Kuminga's too expensive.
Kuminga could be too expensive. I mean, he's younger. Right. He has more upside, obviously, than DeRozan. You kind of know what DeRozan is. But I mean, you're kind of taking a chance, right? Like sometimes that works out. You look at the Pacers, like they got a bunch of guys on their second contracts, and that worked out for them. Guys that didn't drop, I got them young, got them on the second contracts, and it kind of a lot of them hit. Maybe Kuminga's that type of guy, but yeah, I mean, he hasn't shown the ability to be like an all-star yet, right? Like he's shown flashes. So how much are you willing to invest in a player like that still has a lot to prove? That's really the big question.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, at least I don't think I read that, but in your guys' reporting, it didn't seem like Duncan Robinson was in the talks. Now he's got a bit of a weird contract. Can you explain a little bit about like where things stand with Duncan and his deal, because it's not fully guaranteed, but he has to pick like a date. Like what's the deal with Duncan Robinson's contract?
Yeah, he basically has until Sunday. He has a decision has an early termination option in his contract that would make him an unrestricted free agent. But if he bypasses that early termination option, he would have $9.8 million of his salary guaranteed, which his full salary is $19.8 million, but he would have $9.8 million guaranteed. So it would still be on the Heat's books. At that point, he obviously wouldn't be a free agent. And the Heat would have, I think, until July 8th is the day to waive him and save that $10 million, the additional $10 million off their books, which could be helpful if you want to get Davion right under the tax and you want to shed money. Or the Heat could keep him past July 8th. His full salary would be then guaranteed. I think he would be on an expiring contract. So maybe he can talk themselves into saying, well, we're already paying him the close to $10 million. Let's just guarantee the rest of it. He's an expiring. He's a guy we could play that's obviously good, right? He's useful. And then he's an expiring contract. So maybe a contender wants a really good three-point shooter in Duncan Robinson and will take on that contract as an expiring deal, and we can use it as an asset. So Duncan has a decision to make, right, ahead of Sunday. We would think that he would not exercise the early termination option. You would want that $10 million guaranteed.
Right.
But then the ball's in the Heat's court of like, what do we do? Do we cut him and save the $10 million? Do we keep him past that date because we're already paying him $10 million anyway? It's going to be interesting to see. One other option, I know it's been explored. I don't think it's likely, but it could happen. Duncan could use the early termination option, become a free agent, and kind of renegotiate with the Heat a new contract of, let's say, we're going to give you the $9.8 million you got guaranteed, let's say, this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we add 2 more years to it. And let's say it becomes a 3-year, $33 million contract. Not terrible for a guy like Duncan Robinson, right? He's one of the NBA's top shooters. That's an option. I don't know if Duncan would do that, right? Because if he thinks he can get the $10 million he has guaranteed plus more money in the free agent market, why would you do that? But it is an option that the Heat has and that Duncan has if they want to explore that.
Talking to Anthony Chiang, Miami Heat beat reporter from the Miami Herald. And as far as Davion is concerned, do you have any thought on like what his market is? Do you have any idea like what the rumblings are as like what it may take to re-sign him? Because I don't. Yeah. It's kind of harder for me in today's NBA. I don't know what a guy like Davion Mitchell deserves or gets because like the money and the contracts are so crazy. So do we have any pulse on like what it will take to re-sign him or what the market may be for him?
It's interesting. I've seen it all over the place. Like I spoke to somebody during the playing tournament last year, I remember, and that was when he was playing really well. It's like, what do you think? I mean, Davion's playing awesome. Like, do you think he can get the full mid-level? They're like, I think he'd be lucky to get $5 million. I'm like, really? So but then there's a lot of people that think he's gonna get the full mid-level. So it's really hard to judge. It really comes down to, do teams think he could replicate that run he had with the Heat last year? Because he
plays an important role though. You can move Tyler off the ball, and they've been looking for somebody like that for 2 years, and Tyler always ends up handling the ball. So if you can move him off the ball, bring Davion up with the draft coming up. Yeah, they're supposedly going to take that point guard. He takes the Davion role, and now you got Davion and you got Tyler together.
And defensively. I mean, you need someone to be able to, you need a point of attack defender. They haven't had somebody like that in a long time. Right. So yeah, I think he's going to get more than $5 million. Obviously, I think he's going to get closer to the full mid-level. Maybe he won't get the full mid-level of 14.1, but I could definitely see him getting to double digits. Right. So how far is the Heat willing to go? Did Davion play himself out of a Heat return because he played so well? I do expect him this week, maybe even today, we'll see, to extend a qualifying offer to Davion to make him a restricted free agent, which gives the Heat an advantage in bringing him back because they'll have the opportunity to match. But again, he really can't be a tax team this year. I mean, they could, but it doesn't really make sense for them to be a tax team this year. So it's like it's being creative in trying to bring Davion back at probably a, not a huge salary, but, a good chunk of salary and still find a way under the tax. And does that mean cutting Duncan before July 8 and saving the $10 million to open up that room to bring Davion back? Does that mean making a trade to shed some money to free up that room to sign Davion? There's different ways they can go about it. But yeah, I think that he would love to bring Davion back, but it's going to depend on what he gets in the open market, really.
And they appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy draft night tomorrow night. See you at the arena, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thanks for joining us.
I was gonna say, Brent, I think I should be the one interviewing you after your viral rant. That was spot on. Well done. Well done.
Hey man, like, look, I'm just frustrated. You know me, man. I want the big names. I'm spoiled, but I'm just confused.
The big names don't make sense.
That one made sense.
No.
To me, it made sense.
Yeah, it made some sense, but I think it was well said. I think you kind of represented a lot of feelings for Heat fans. So I'm not surprised. I actually saw it live. I had just been happening to listen to the show in the car while you said that, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get popular on Heat Twitter." I kind of saw it happening, so I wasn't surprised when I saw it all over the place a few hours later.
Yeah, will my name be on the list tomorrow? Is the question? Be like, I
think you're banned.
You.
I don't think your fingerprint's gonna work now.
Like first the Jimmy Butler question. Now this, you're out of here.
Yeah, you're out.
Go watch it. Go watch it from the Hooters over at Bayside.
I'll bring pizza to you outside the arena.
Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, bye guys.
Anfernee Chiang, Miami Herald. Go check out his work. He does great work. Him and Barry Jackson have been on all of this stuff for your off season. They do a great job.
Do you feel better?
Do I feel better?
Nah,
yeah, I mean, like
I can tell. Like you're trying to be professional while getting irritated because you understand the reality of all of this, but the Tobin in you and the show pony in you, it won't let it set in.
I feel like I am handling it well. I think that again, I think I am handling it well. I went a little I went a little mad yesterday and I broke a little bad yesterday, but I thought it was warranted. And I think there still needs to be things that have to be answered. I get what Anthony's saying. Like, look, again, I think that when we were joking about the Kevin Durant pursuit, we're like, yeah, this probably ends with them trading for DeMar DeRozan to save money and resetting. But, you know, God, am I sick of that? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is going to be another year. And I just feel like the direction of the organization right now is just treading water, Leroy, and that's just not their standard.
Can we look at it this way? I would say DeMar DeRozan offensively is very similar to Jimmy and how they do things, right?
Yeah, I would even say that you would say DeMar is probably a little more polished. Like he's got that beautiful jump shot, beautiful mid-range game, all that stuff.
Jimmy is much better defensively.
Yep.
So that's where we go there. But what if I give you DeMar DeRozan 75 games? It's going to look a lot better than it actually may be simply because you're going to have some continuity. That has to kind of mean something that, hey, we got a guy who's durable, who's going to give us everything, who's going to be out there regardless, and who's going to, play 70, 75 games. And if you just had that the last 2 years, would you be in a better place now?
We'll take a break here on the show. Lots more to get to, including the mixed bag. Take a break. Back after this. All right, welcome back. Tobin and Leroy here with you. Thanks again to Anfernee Chiang for stopping by. Just felt that way. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Come around 1:30. I don't know.
He was good. He was good.
He was good. Let's get to our headlines here. Brought to us by Doral Hyundai. Doral Hyundai. Choose from over 1,300 new Hyundai miles in inventory of the Tucson, Sonata, and Palisade. And remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. Last night, if you missed it, the Boston Celtics traded Jrue Holiday to the Portland Trailblazers for Anfernee Simons and 2 second-round picks. So there's that. Sacramento Kings, they're reportedly looking to deal back into the first round for a pick, and some talks that they're trying to flip Devin Carter, their first-round pick from last year, and Malik Monk, who did play at Kentucky with Bam Adebayo. Was some Sacramento fodder that's not necessarily DeRozan-centric on the Heat. And there was some chatter that they liked Devin Carter last year. Be kind of into that. Would be kind of into that.
This is where
why are they so willing to dump him so quick?
I don't like you doing that, Marcos. I don't do that. That's not fair. He didn't. I mean, he was injured for the majority of last season with a shoulder thing, Leroy. But and then they had their whole kind of like hodgepodge of playing time with De'Aaron Fox, and then they had DeRozan. Then they traded for Levine, so he was kind of squeezed out last year. He didn't get any real run.
And you could get him for nothing.
Right. Well, yeah, I think the thought would be, could you get him for like Duncan and Jaime? Like Jaime gets a fresh start, their guy gets a fresh start. We'll see.
We give away 2 assets for this Carter I've never heard of.
2 assets? I mean, one guy doesn't play. What are you talking about?
Look, Jaime is fresh off of a TV run. No longer has bubble guts.
They're about as much of an asset as your used tire that you use in case of emergency.
Your Flanagan's commemorative jersey is maybe more of an asset right now.
Collectible. But okay, Duncan Robinson though, like, that's a sharpshooter. You can always use a sharpshooter.
I know, but we don't know where his his situation is going to be. As we heard from Anthony, he's got a weird contract and figure out where things are with the Miami Heat. So I don't know. Tyrese Haliburton, he came out with a long statement. That's a long statement, Tyrese. I don't think I'm going to read all of that, but he
had surgery today, right?
I think yesterday. Yeah.
When he was probably in the air before the game ended.
Yeesh. No, I think he was. I think he was still. I think. They showed him in crutches. He was on crutches.
Right.
He says, "I don't know how to explain it other than shock. Words can't express the pain of this letdown. The frustration is unfathomable.
Ooh, good job.
I've worked my whole life to get to this moment, and this is how it ends. Makes no sense. Now that I've gotten surgery, I wish I could count the number of times people were telling me to come back stronger. What a cliche. LOL. This bleep sucks. My foot feels like dead weight, fam. But what's hurting most is my mind. Feel like I'm rambling. But I know that this is something I'll look back on as I'm proud I fought. It feels good to let this out without y'all seeing the kid ugly cry." He says, "Honestly, right now, torn Achilles and all, I don't regret it. I do it again and again after that. I fight for this city, my brothers, and for a chance to do something special." Then he goes on with more stuff, but that's the gist of it. No regrets playing the game.
And again, we've had this conversation before. There are times in sports where the organization and the training staff and the doctors need to save the player from himself. You just do.
Mm-hmm.
And they never do it. And then they come back and say, there was nothing we could have did to keep him out of there. I said, yeah, you invested $200+ million in him. And granted, it's for an NBA championship. But now you're paying somebody $40-50 million to rehab next year.
Jojo says, Kings of the East sounds about right. Damn, I don't like that.
Game 7, Leroy, would you sit? It depends. Like, it depends on what, like, if I had a knee problem and I was playing in the Super Bowl and I couldn't run, or I could make it look like I could run, but I felt terrible. No, you're not helping the team. You're out there thinking about your injury. You know, and I think what hurt him is that he made it through game 6. So everybody got that false sense of security.
I mean, UD thought they were blowing it up. He's like, did they oversell his injury? Because he looked so good.
He was moving around right.
Yeah.
Right. He said Leroy doesn't want Tua to slide to safety. No, that's not what I said. What I said about Tua is if he is playing and it's 3rd and 1 at a crucial part of the game and he scrambles, everybody would be pissed off if he didn't try to get that 1 yard. And for us to act like he wouldn't, right, is crazy.
Not me.
You say that now.
I wouldn't be pissed.
Okay.
I don't want him to run.
This is one of those situations got to play out.
Sychronos says the Heat are nowhere near the Kings in terms of organizational competency. Let's not say things we can't take back. I think that's fair. Nobody's more of a clown show than the Kings. But
okay, hold on. The Wizards, Charlotte, there's a couple other clown shows.
Oh man. If you're the King,
Philly,
the King, how can we? I understand what you're saying, but if you're the Kings, right? You had this 1 year where you were like the 3 seed to just make the playoffs in the NBA. Just make the playoffs, okay? And you traded the one guy you traded from your team recently. Just led a team to the finals. Like and by the way, the one reason they kept him was because they had De'Aaron Fox, who's also not a King right now. They're pretty bad. And also let's not forget, in a draft with Trae Young and Luka up top, they drafted Marvin Bagley. I mean, that's rough, dude.
That's all very bad.
It's a bad organization.
It's all very bad.
I apologize. The Heat are not there. It's not they're not even close to that. And the Heat are a great. I think that's part of the reason why I vented the frustration. I know they're a great organization. I'm not the one who set the standard of there's winning in misery. That's Pat Riley. That's what he lives by. And I'm miserable. As is he. Ribbit?
We'll see tomorrow.
We will see tomorrow.
Because I know you're going to come in Thursday. Guns a blazing.
Whoa!
We back! We back!
I will feel that no matter who we draft because I trust Adam Simon.
Especially if they draft somebody you actually know.
I know people.
Okay. Well, you did spend your Saturday night researching, so.
Rasheer Fleming, wingspan, dude. 7'5" wingspan. Played at St. Joe's.
Ooh.
Sharpshooter. Wingspan, dude. 7'5"
D&3 guy?
Pretty much.
We need more 3 guys than D guys. Because I'm telling you, the scoring has been, at times.
You're not kidding. You like a legacy player like Jason Richardson's son? Not as bouncy or big as he is, though.
Right.
I like my guy.
Igor? I don't see him falling to the Heat a lot, though, dude.
Yeah, but I like his name.
I really feel like you saw his name a couple segments ago.
When you say Igor, I feel like I'm watching a cartoon.
Winnie the Pooh?
Dade South says, I thought Tobin said drafting Ware was a reach. That's not what I said.
Oh, that is what he said.
What I said.
You said that.
No, that's not what I said.
They said he was rated a little bit lower than what they drafted him.
He was. I really couldn't explain it, but he was rated lower than expected. He was rated lower, but the only thing everybody said was because he has no motor. They said that he was, he just didn't have drive. But as far as like talent, like dude, he popped last year. I was like, whoa, this guy is a cool player.
Big. Like
I know.
All bigs have that kind of.
You have to have
about themselves.
You got to have a mope scale for bigs,
right?
You know?
Right.
It's
They
just
all
different.
kind of lazily like do certain things, right? But his motor was okay. I mean, he was leading fast breaks. He was running up and down the court. Like, I don't think that was ever a problem when he got here.
No, I don't think it's a problem. I think that they would they want it up a tick? Sure. But I think that, again, like there's still a youth element to him.
A 7-footer who, like, there's not a whole bunch of 7-footers who are fleet of foot up and down the court. Yeah. They might give you 2 or 3 of those fast break ones and you think, whoa, then that's it.
Well, I was very impressed. Like, even the times they stuck him out, like on the wing on Tatum and things like that, I thought he handled himself pretty damn well. He's definitely got some athleticism to him. I think it's just like, if they can crank up that like Bam intensity on him, you're talking a monster. Like if
when they went about it, if they say, dude, let me explain something to you. You get the rebounds and you defend the rim. And if you can't do that, right, then all the other stuff is not possible. And I think sometimes he's shown where he'll block 3 shots in one, possession and then give up 4 layups, right? So the inconsistency for whatever reason, and I think part of it is the way they play defense, there's a lot of movement, and sometimes he gets lost. So I don't know if that comes with time, but I don't think it's like an effort thing. I think it's just a Heat defensive thing that he has to get acclimated to. Helping. A lot of times he gets stuck on his guy. They get backdoor, dunk. He's looking the other way on the other side. So those are the things he needs to. But I never had a problem with his energy or his effort. It's more along the lines of effort looks poor. Motor looks poor when you're not in the right spot.
Right.
And sometimes he got caught out of position. And so it looked that way when it had more to do with his grasping of what he needed to do in the defense and not his motor or his willingness to do things.
We'll take a break coming on up. I got to update something from yesterday's show as we got some more information. Back after this.
The Turns out.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you. Happy Tuesday to everybody out there, and I appreciate you joining the program. As we got a draft night tomorrow night for the Miami Heat. Panthers, they are champions of the hockey world. We now await word on who will be back, who won't be back. We'll hear a little bit from Aaron Ekblad. He addressed some of this stuff on his media exit session later on. But I want to get to this, okay? Because yesterday I was a fool. Okay. And a bum.
You got?
I got. And I just want to clear it up. I cleared it up yesterday. I thought I cleared it up because we were talking about Tyreek Hill. And then I was like, I threw out there this Kendall Lamm quote that I saw on Twitter. And 2 segments later, I was like, hey, I don't know if that quote was true. And it turns out it doesn't appear like it was. Because Kendall Lamm himself had to come to Instagram. Poor Kendall Lamm enjoying his summer thinking, who would want a quote from me? Just going about my business, living my life. And there was, for those who don't know, I don't want to like attribute because it was fake, but it was basically like, you know, I can see why the Eagles are the best environment, toxic, which is, by the way, not something that we haven't heard from the Miami Dolphins. So with it being kind of a nondescript player, Kendall Lamm was a reserve lineman, started some games for the Dolphins because their line is always injured. And did a good job, by the way. The fact that somebody would make up a quote from him, I found very strange and didn't pick up on it right away. But I was wrong. I shouldn't have brought it to air. I know other people got by it. That's their responsibility. This is my responsibility, and I own it. I'm a bum.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you, JFig. Thank you. You know, like it's the people who take true accountability on Love Island that you respect. All right, not the people who make excuses like you, Jeremiah. That's why your ass got sent home.
You're on board with that?
Yeah, I am. Now that I think about it, I'm like, you know what? I didn't like his act. And also, I think Austin has now found somebody. I do feel bad for Amaya, though. After watching Casa Amor, she should have been out of there. There's no way. Hannah would have made Casa Amor. She would have made it. And I'm disappointed she's not there. Also, I got to tell you, Ariana, not a fan of wearing the pants. Just as an aside. It's been very noticeable.
I mean, it's a very hot island, so
apparently so. Anyway, Kendall Lamm made some Instagram posts. Let's hear from Kendall Lamm denying the viral quote that went around.
So I keep getting sent this article, apparently, that someone has said that I've slammed Dolphins culture and all that stuff. One, I don't remember talking to anyone or any reporter about anything that we really dealt with Miami with the Dolphins. Two, I was never raised that way to sit there and comment on certain things as far as culture and everything else within the locker room. Three, I have no animosity or no ill will or bad intentions towards Miami or anybody down there whatsoever. I enjoyed my time in Miami, and it'll be near and dear to me forever. So when it comes to this article that I'm being sent, or this article that's been published, unless I just completely forgot doing this, I had to be misconstrued or taken out of context, because I have nothing but the utmost respect for everyone in Miami, and the people in Miami know that.
There you go. Kendall Lamm on his Instagram story.
Yep.
Driving somewhere.
I appreciate that he addressed it directly, though.
Agreed.
Like, well, it was crazy. Like, look, again, I'm not making excuses for myself, but we were doing this yesterday. Like, but I see it all over YouTube, over Yahoo and Sports Illustrated and all these places. But the thing that was crazy is nobody could find it from ESPN, which is what it was attributed to. And that's a dangerous thing. I really like, just as a genuine thing, like I hate getting got. I am embarrassed by it because I really try not to get got. That's why I got everybody on notice. That's a good way not to get got.
Pretty much.
But I did get got, and I apologize to Kendall Lamm.
It happens to the best of us.
Now, Dolphins, fake Kendall Lamm may have made some points. So I'm just going to tell you right now, like, you still need to get the culture right, and I still want people to stop being late. But he did not make that point. So he also went on to say, this is a little bit more from him, saying that he would never say something like that.
And lastly, It's like things like this really don't bother me. Anyone can come to me and ask me the truth, and I'll tell you every single time. Ask the people what I'm like in that building. I'm quiet as can be, typically. I just keep to myself. I don't say much to anyone. I just lock in, do what needs to be done, try to do it the right way, and then clock out. Truthfully. You can ask any one of my teammates, and they'll tell you that. So, when it comes to culture and all that, bro, don't try to put me in the middle trying to spin things because of you guys feel something about Miami. I loved my time in Miami, truly. So, please, like, I am not the one. Like, the fact that stuff like that's being said to me blows my mind. Because, one, I would never even speak about Miami like that. Never. So, yeah. Good Monday, though. You guys be blessed.
You be blessed too, Kendall.
I mean, I got to be honest with you. I ain't telling folks to be blessed that got me out there like that.
Wow.
I'm not.
Leroy's telling everybody to kick rocks if we attributed a fake quote to Leroy Horde.
Yeah. As much as I talk, you got to make up stuff.
Gonzalo says, I'd rather have fake Lamm than Eichenberg. Not even real Kendall Lamm. You'd rather have just fake Kendall Lamm.
I think people start throwing the word culture around. And if you ever notice, culture is always associated with winning.
Mm-hmm.
If you're winning, you have good culture. If you're losing, you don't. Case in point, do the Eagles have good culture? Because I know in the middle of the season, they were talking about how they were fighting. Then they won the Super Bowl.
He got distracted by Schmeath, and he says, I'd rather have an actual Lamm out there than Liam Eichenberg. And then I just pictured a little Lamm with shoulder pads on. Meh.
Wait, backing up so he can ram you?
But not even not a full-blown ram. Like it's a baby lamb.
No horns. No horns.
You could just see Jared Verse just like eating the lamb.
I saw
as he's,
you know how I like to peruse the internet.
Yep.
So I was on Instagram and they had things that kids do. And there was a kid with a motorcycle helmet headbutting a ram, a little baby ram. And they were just backing up and then
What? Is that how you got your visual?
let him fight it out. Let him fight it out. Crazy. All right, we'll take a break here on the program. Mix things on up. Coming up next. Welcome back, everybody. Looks like we got old JFig hobnobbing over there. Back with you here on a Tuesday. It is that time, ladies and gentlemen, to mix it on up, dude. What do we got today, Frog Boy?
All righty then. Let us get started in the mix bag with a quick little update for you guys before I get into the audio. As we know, your Florida Panthers had an amazing celebration at 11 this past week.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody want to guess what the tab came out to?
Wow.
One of the restaurants or at
11,
like
the club.
100K.
At 11, the club.
130,000.
I saw that they had one of those giant champagne bottles. How much did those cost?
Well, that champagne bottle specifically, if it was the Bel Air one that you're referring to, was a gift from Rick Ross. So that one actually not on the tab.
Oh, on the house. That's nice of Rick Ross.
Dude.
Good for him.
Actually, you know what? Now that I'm bringing this up, you guys can keep this in mind while you're making your guesses. The entire tab was covered by 11.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking that the entire, because I thought that they're bringing in so much business. I figured that was a sponsored party.
Yeah. Well, essentially it was, but
like how much advertising did 11 get just from the Panthers being there? Like, I feel like you can't even buy that. But if I had to guess,
yes.
$120,000.
That's fair. That's fair. Anybody want to make any guesses before I reveal the answer?
I said 130.
100 to 150K.
Well, that's cute. I appreciate you
Why
guys.
don't you use a $50,000 window?
Okay, how about this?
0 to 200,000?
I bet. I rescind mine. I rescind mine.
Yeah,
$1.
That's good. $500,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That is right.
$500,000 on the Cats.
Matthew Kachuk revealed on the Spittin' Chicklets podcast this week that $500,000 and 11 picked it up. And yeah, apparently Reinhardt says that he wasn't surprised that they always take care of him over there. And that's that video that you saw of Brad Marchand, who was leaving the club but then trying to go back in.
Oh my god, that was so funny.
I was like, no.
They say that he was trying to pay the bill, and they had to tell him that.
That's what that video was. The video was Marchand thinking that he had to pay the bill.
I believe that was a joke. They said that
Kachuk joked that one.
Yeah, Kachuk joked that Brad was going back to pay the bill.
Brad, that right there, that is like your recruiting video. If you're talking about anybody snooping around Brad Marchand, you're just like, hey, remember this? Because that Alexander Barkov, who we all played the video of his Instagram, he was hammered at 5 morning. If he has to be the voice of reason to tell Brad Marchand, hey, we gotta go home.
Yeah,
it's closed. We need to go to Denny's.
Yeah,
you have to end your day at Denny's.
Got to get a grand slam.
Wow.
I just wanted to drop that nugget on you before I
Love
started
it.
playing. Yeah.
Great nugget.
Now, as we dig deeper into the mixed bag, were you guys able to see a bit of jawing back and forth between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford?
I saw a little bit of this. I'm very confused because why they were on a podcast with Dana White. Yeah, but I think it was put together by Turkey Al Sheikh, and it was a podcast with Tom Brady, Shaq, Dana White, with Canelo and Terrence Crawford. Would appear to be on top of the Empire State Building. I was very confused by all of it.
Do you think he has too much money? Maybe because he's literally playing action figures with real people.
Very clearly he doesn't, because he didn't give away his Times Square fight for free because he put up walls all over it. So he may have a lot of money, but apparently not to spread the wealth for all of Times Square.
Yeah. I don't know. This guy just seems like he's literally just like, it'll be cool. And then just does it.
Pretty much. Because, Tom, what do you think about $300,000 to sit in a podcast with Terrence Crawford and Canelo?
Yeah. Easy peasy, dude.
He's probably thinking to himself, how much is that on my Fox deal? But what did they say?
This is them some jawing back and forth between
don't get me wrong, okay? He's a good fighter, a great fighter. I always say before I see him calling me out and won the fight and everything, I say before he's a great fighter. But if you look at his career, mention one elite fighter. Just mention me one elite fighter.
So Postal wasn't elite?
Who?
Victor Postal.
Who's that guy?
Oh, so he wasn't commercialized. He wasn't.
Who's
he
that
wasn't
Postal?
a great. Ricky Burns wasn't elite.
What? 40 years old champion in that moment beat Mr. Postal in my gym. I saw that.
So Ricky Burns wasn't elite.
Ricky Burns doesn't elite.
Okay.
He's not elite.
It's cool.
Is there a champion?
I'm going to fight another elite
There is
fighter
a champions,
in
good fighters, but elite fighters is different. Wait.
So I'm going to fight an elite fighter in September.
Yeah. Okay.
Then we're
going to find out.
Then we're going to find out.
And don't get me wrong, you're a great fighter.
I know I'm great.
You're a great fighter. But are you going to find out? I hope your uncle Turki Alashi pay you enough money because he's going to be the last. That's for sure.
It may be. Maybe.
I hope he pay you enough.
But after fighters fight me, they ain't never the same. So I just hope your career continue.
If you look at my career, never same after me.
Wow. I got to tell you.
Hey,
Canelo
Alvarez said he's talking English.
Canelo learning English over the last 4 years has been a game changer for him. This dude is a great bleep talker.
It's not even his native tongue, and he's out here. I'm like, Terrence Crawford, that was weak, dude. He's like, you've never fought anybody.
Why didn't Terrence Crawford just go Errol Spence? Like, why didn't he Victor Postal? Like, I get it was a good win a few years ago. I feel like he wanted to impress him and be like, oh, like Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford was as hyped as any fight in the welterweight division in a long time, and he smoked Errol Spence. Now I know Errol Spence.
Wasn't that when we were talking about? We were sitting with the guys from Texas, I think.
Yes, and then they were they were Errol Spence guys, and I'm like, you're in trouble. Oh, you're good. I mean, but and you could say, hey, Errol Spence hasn't been the same. Maybe the car accident messed up. Fine, he still was a unified welterweight champion. But I think Canelo gets you on your toe. I think you're a little taken aback. Be like, this guy talks a lot of bleep. Why is he so good at this?
It's good. This is that was great. That was great on his end.
I remember when he first busted out the English. He was against Demetrius Andrade, and Demetrius Andrade crashed his press conference, and he goes, "Payday, you want payday?" I was like, "What?"
That was his beginning English.
Remember when he slapped the guy because he thought he was talking about his mom or something like that?
He said he called me a mother bleeper. Oh man. I am looking forward to that fight. I cannot friggin' wait. That's good. What else you got in the mixed bag?
Well, as we all know, we are getting the fallouts from Kevin Durant choosing to go to the Rockets. So we have different sides of the opinion here. You want to hear someone who's gonna make you feel a little bit better about this?
Yes.
Zach Lowe.
Respectable basketball podcast extraordinaire.
He says he understands why the Heat did not go all in for Kevin.
I think the
Durant.
Heat doing that is a very look in the mirror moment for Pat Riley. That was probably difficult because Pat Riley wants to go for it, and that the Heat could beat the offer that eventually got Kevin Durant. And I think calmer winds prevailed, or whatever the saying that I can't conjure right now. And just that team, Hero, Durant, Bam, and some good backup spot starter guys and young guys too, whoever's young guys left over, is not going to be good enough. And part of the reason it's not going to be good enough is they, like all of us, watch these playoffs, the depth, the ferocity, the toll it takes on your body, and just ask themselves, like, can we depend on 38-year-old Kevin Durant surviving those playoffs healthy, and not just surviving them healthy, but doing so while playing 38 minutes a game of high-level basketball that this team, stripped of its depth, is going to need him to play? And they just said no, and I don't blame them for that decision at all.
My counter to this again, and it's not that I totally blame the Heat for not thinking Kevin Durant was the needle mover. I disagree, but that's fine. They cannot think that. That's their organization. This idea that their depth would have been stripped. Not really. Like, you're not going to sit here and act like the Heat were going to be left with 4 pieces. One of the things they just weren't willing to part with was one of their bigs. And I'm sorry, like, if you're telling me that that's going to be the difference in, they wouldn't be able to get through the gauntlet of the East. There is no gauntlet. 3 of the teams have players with torn Achilles. One of them is selling off pieces. Arguably going into next year, you have Cleveland, who, yes, smoked you, but they may be making moves as well. And if you have a Kevin Durant, does that change the balance of that series? I think it definitely helps. And then you're talking about who? The Knicks?
See, but here's where me and you differ. They offered as much as they were willing to part with to get Kevin Durant, because maybe in the back of their mind, they go, yes, we would like Kevin Durant, but are we just a piece away? And if the answer is no, that means you can't mortgage your youth and your future for that one piece, even though it may be dynamic. That's going to what? Move you up to the 6 or 7 seed? It's not worth it. And so that's why the offer reflected not what they thought about Kevin Durant, but more of maybe what they thought about what their situation was. So I get it. The Rockets are in a different position. They're like, we were number 2 seed and we had no scoring.
Yeah, but I think the Rockets basically looked at it and were like, we got to beat what? Oh. And they were probably going to move on from Jalen Green no matter what. Like, that was probably their goal for this offseason, was to get off of Jalen Green.
Right.
I don't know. What else you got on this, Marcos?
Now, on the other side of that argument, someone who has recently been in the good graces of Mr. Tobin is Markieff Morris.
Always love the Morris twins on television. I'm glad. More Morris twins for me on First Take, please.
Well, this is our boy Keith explaining how frustrated he is with the Heat.
It's disappointing to me. I remember Wendy said earlier, obviously he has to agree to go to Miami, and they were one of the teams, right? They tried to get him at the deadline, but for an underwhelming package, right? And no disrespect to the players that was involved that Phoenix wanted, but the package wasn't, like Miami has to give that up. Not only like they lost Jimmy Butler, but a chance to get a guy like Kevin Durant with the way the East is going to look in the next couple of years, pairing him with a Bam Adebayo and a Tyler Herald, and not really losing a lot of core pieces, right? You lose Jaime Jaquez, you lose Hayward Smith and Jokic. But what Miami does is they grow their players, so it don't really matter what they would have lost, right? Because they're a team that will get G League players and grow them. They're a team that will get that has homegrown players. So I'm really disappointed in Miami for not making this happen, especially like I said with the loss of Jimmy Butler. Like, for that package, and again, no disrespect to those players, but for that package, they have to get this done.
Hey, I don't think I could have said it any better, Keith. I don't think I could have said it any better, dude.
I just wonder, big picture, where does that put you? And part of it is the Heat's their own doing, right?
But I think that's just such a poor way to go about it. Like, what does it put you? Like, you don't think it improves them? People think that you bring in Kevin Durant with Bam and Tyler, and that's still going to put you as a fringe playoff team avoiding the play-in. Well, then you need to, if you really truly think that, then I think that everybody's got to take a long look in the mirror, like Sacklow said, and say, okay, then what are Bam and Tyler? What are they? If you add an all-time scorer to them, and you don't think that's good enough, a kid who's in 2 All-Stars, one of them's already maxed out, one wants to be maxed out, and you don't think that those 2 pieces are going to be good enough to have a third added to them, Okay, well, the long look in the mirror has to be looked at the entire roster then and figure out, well, where are we going? Because if you're going to sit here and be like, well, because here's the thing. You're going to do the same thing next year, and you're going to say, let's just say theoretically the Heat wanted in the game for Luka, and just be like, well, we're going to have to, you're going to have to trade even more, and your team would be even thinner with those guys. So I don't know what's going to change.
But you
and they're going to make even more money.
But the thing that you get in return is you get a guy that you can build around for 5 years.
Yeah, maybe. But you're also going to be dealt with what's around him. And this is the one where you probably could have added somebody who, you're going to have to win with more urgency, even though the windows are getting smaller in the NBA anyway. And you're still going to have pieces around him to succeed. So, but I get it. It is what it is. My argument lost. So what does it matter? I'm just a man floating out here. I'm going to look forward to 20.
Your argument, but here's the deal. I don't necessarily believe your argument lost. I just think that you're going into this thinking Kevin Durant and not thinking all of the other stuff. And they're getting paid to think about all the other stuff.
Yeah, but it always feels like they're squirreling away for something and there's never going to be a payoff for it. They keep wanting
that part when you say, oh, we're waiting until this year, or that's too rich for our blood, or whatever. When you see all these other teams making big porn hacks, I would say this, that when you look at a team like OKC, when you look at a team like Houston, when you look at a team like San Antonio, they're in a different place.
Agreed.
And so adding Kevin Durant to those rosters would probably signify something different than it would by adding KD to this roster.
But here's the thing. You're also in a much bigger gauntlet of a conference. So being the 2 seed in the West means a lot less than it does in the East. Because
the 6th seed in the West could win the championship.
Well, we just saw the 5 seed finals and took it to Game 7.
Right.
You got to get in the dance.
Right.
And I don't know.
So here, and here's the question that I have, and here's where you have to be honest about it.
Mm-hmm.
If I add KD, give up Jovic and Jaime and whoever you're going to trade, right? But evidently,
I kept Khalil, I kept Davion.
Right. Where does that put the Heat in the East? Honestly, not I where think, you think.
I definitely think that team could be top 4. I definitely think they can.
But
with the injury situations we're facing right now.
To your point, here's what I would say that supports that. I would say that if they were healthy and Jimmy had played the whole damn year, they could have been a 4th seed anyway. So we kind of have to look at that team as that and not necessarily what they ended up. So I'll give you that. That being said, you know how the Heat feel about old players.
I know that and look, that is something they haven't ventured off. That is fair.
And that's in the beginning of Pat Riley. That's not just now.
Totally fair.
That's not a new thing.
Not a new thing. We'll take a break here on the program. Final hour coming on up. We'll hear a little bit from Aaron Ekblad, who talked about his contract situation. Back after this. All right, welcome back, everybody. Tobin and Leroy here with you, 560 WQAM. Take you guys up until 2 here on the program. Let's get to our headlines here, brought to you by Doral Hyundai. Doral Hyundai, choose over 1,300 new Hyundai miles in inventory of the Tucson, Sonata, and Palisade. Remember, when it comes to Hyundai, the great deals are at Doral Hyundai. On Saturday, Panthers had their exit media day, and so some of the players addressing their futures, including a good boy, and Aaron Ekblad. He is addressed his future and gave a little taste as to where his mindset is at going into this offseason. But he did say that Florida, they do everything the best in the NHL. Here was Aaron Ekblad.
It's part of who I am at this point. I've spent 11 years here, and that's more than I've spent in any, home or city in my life. So it's home, and I expect it to be home.
Wow. I hope it is. He also said that the Panthers are just doing everything top notch.
Yeah, it's an elite program. It's the best organization in the league. We do everything the best. And we're still on an upward trajectory after winning 2 Stanley Cups in a row and 3 Stanley Cup finals in a row. So it's incredible. I'm so proud of that because I've been here for it. And yeah, it's amazing. I can't say much else about it.
I really don't want to lose him. You vultures are circling around the Cats trying to take away pieces of the championship.
Oh yeah, everybody wants a piece of the champ.
Wasn't he at the parade though, discussing that his agent gave him the advice to not?
Yeah, his agent told him. Yeah, his agent told him not to pull a Bennett.
Yeah, but it seems like he's sort of like a very low key, like.
Well, look, I think the Panthers, I think you hear him. Like, he wants to stay with the Panthers. I think it's just a question of, like, how much of a discount is he willing to take to stay with the Cats, because people may throw the bag at him, man. I mean, like, he's a really good defenseman. Gustav Forsling's like, I don't want to play with anybody else, but they did go trade for Seth Jones. They still got Meeksy. This was the Hockey Hornet asking Aaron Ekblad about his contract situation. Here's what he had to say on that.
That the season's over and July 1 is coming up. Have you started that conversation? Have with your agent and everything with Bill? And can you say anything about the process to this point?
Yeah. Conversations have been had. Obviously nothing material yet, but they'll be working on it. Things seem to come down to the last minute here.
I didn't like that.
Well, I mean, we had the situation too of him at 11 where he got emotional, kind of sounded like he was saying goodbye.
Yeah, during the parade.
Yeah, well, during the parade, he was like, he was like, wink, I'm not gonna.
During the parade, he was
like
in past tense too.
Right.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I didn't like that.
He's giving body language of a guy who's on his way out, if I'm being honest.
I mean, perhaps, but I don't think he wants to. I think he's trying to see, hey, is there some move the Cats can make to finagle some more space and try and make things happen? But it's tough. I mean, it is tough, and especially with all these guys, it feels like the momentum is like they're keeping Bennett. Marchand, we don't know, because even though he's telling everybody, 4 more years, I'm sure he's got a lot of people who are going to be wanting his services too. And then Ekblad's, he's hometown. I think there is an element man, wouldn't you love to see him get to ride out the storybook down here?
I think if you could keep Ekblad and Barkov and
Bennett. Barkov's not going anywhere. He's under contract.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying that it would not only show it's a team we could ride or die with. We're already there. But when you have your homegrown guys playing their whole career there, that means something to the fan base too.
I mean, even with him coming off the suspensions, it's like it was huge, and then immediately he's going to defend Markieff because of those dirty rats in Tampa, and he's like, I'm coming to light fools up, and then he gets suspended again, wrongfully so, because he's a good boy, and people just have it out for him. I don't know if it's because of his tremendous beard or what it is, why people just think, oh, we need to corral this Aaron Ekblad because he's a menace to society, which he's not, by the way. And I felt like he was targeted at all points by these punitive NHL representatives who wanted to discipline him when all he was doing was being a good friend.
Yeah.
And a good teammate trying to come back from injury. And all of a sudden we put it under the guise of steroids. Get out of here. I don't want to lose Aaron Ekblad. He's a good boy. We'll take a break. More to come here on the show. Back after this.
WQAM.
It's time to get to our favorite Tuesday game. Doing a little delayed because we had Anfernee Chiang a little bit earlier on the show. If you missed him, we got him coming on up there for you. Had some great breakdown of where things are with the Kevin Durant talk. But let us get to the damage is done, my friend.
What are you, snacking, Jennifer?
Apparently so.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a problem, Mr. Snacker?
Wow.
Wow.
Take it easy. You guys, we like to jump on each other when we make mistakes, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Oklahoma City Thunder are no different. Apparently, they're having the parade today. Quick turnaround for them. They're having their parade, and poor Chet Holmgren. He had a little he had a little bit of trouble getting out of the starting blocks of his speech.
It started with Clay, Sam, and Mark for believing in me enough to bring me here in the first place. Because without them, I'm never even here. All right, let me lock in. Should we put you on the mic right now? All right, yeah. All right. But yeah, I just got to say thank you to those three first.
Woof.
Okay.
Hey, you know what? It makes me never want to get an award in front of you three. because I could listen, if we almost got fired over the Google, anybody that gets up there and talks has no chance.
A little stumble, man. Whew. But the damage is done, Chet. Your teammates are there. They're going to get after you. It is what it is. Leroy?
So my damage is done goes to Marcos, Tobin, Lynn, Solana. And here's why. You had to go ask somebody a question that had nothing to do with the parade. And all the parties that wanted to hear that question, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think?
Well, I mean,
the damage was done. You asked a random guy who just won a hockey championship, how do you feel about KD? You get.
Marcos was curious.
Wanted his expert opinion.
You get what you get.
Yeah, but truly one of the highlights, though, of the parade.
And Lynn says, hey, somebody needs to be around on the dump button. You think? You should have thought about having a mic in an open crowd of drunk people that just won back-to-back championships.
There should be a parade. There also should be a parade pass.
Yeah, FCC. You let Pat McAfee curse up a storm all the time.
I mean, some of the things that go on, like even when I heard it, I'm like, uh-oh, here it comes.
Guys, I'm here live in front of the buses while we have a break here.
What do you have, buddy?
I'm going to talk to the people. I'm going to ask them the number one question everyone's thinking right now. What do you think about Kevin Durant getting traded to the Rockets? Oh, I don't give a about. Okay, listen.
Wait, and Marcos gives the okay. What did you think was going to happen?
He went on to give a very, very nice response.
Who cares?
But,
within the first 4 words of your comments,
yeah,
is an F-bomb.
Pretty sure the
rest of the stuff doesn't matter.
Tough crowd.
But I believe, hey, it'd be really cool if we took a live mic with the drunk fans and ask them about something that has nothing to do with hockey.
Journalism.
I'm like, what are we doing?
You know what? I appreciate your skills, Marcos.
You know what? Not everyone can get it done like you.
Along the lines of Tobin telling Lynn damage is done, because he was at his aunt's house when he said, we need somebody on the dump button. Tobin's like, hey, but I'm crossing I'm crossing the bridge right now.
Yeah, it was like, I need you. I'm like,
I'm not turning around in this hot ass sun. That's
it was
for sure.
It was the Magic Johnson. I'm not going to be there. JFig, what damage is done for you?
Well, you've seen my aim when it comes to beer pong. And I've got to say, this time around, it didn't end well for me or my friend, I would say. So at the Avril Lavigne concert, my friend wanted pictures of her with confetti. And so she grabs a bunch of confetti, puts it in my hand, and she's like, okay, take the picture. So me looking at the phone, I wasn't really looking at where I was aiming. And so when I say ready, set, go, I'm taking pictures and I throw the confetti and it lands right in her mouth. All of the floor confetti just lands in her mouth. Because her mouth was open and the way she
Why is she taking a picture like a big mouth bass?
That's what everyone told her.
Right? Why you going full fish for a photo op? Who takes a picture like that?
There were security guards and everything watching me. They were like, "Wow, what kind of a friend does that?" I'm just like, the damage is done. Like, I'm so sorry. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but it was a real I started crying
Damage
at how
is
funny
done.
that was. Out of nowhere, she's just like spitting out confetti, and I'm like, "What just happened?" And then I realized what I did.
Yeah, I get that sometimes, Iggy. When your curse is you're just too good of an athlete.
Just too good.
Just sometimes, things happen. Totally understand what you're talking about.
So you shifting around there, Frog Boy. What damage is done for you?
This one goes out to Rick and Julie, which I know you guys don't understand who these people are. And up until a few minutes ago, I didn't understand who these people were. But they're the parents of the newest Mets pitcher who is certainly making a name for himself. Would you guys like to see what Rick and Julie decided to name their son?
Yeah.
New pitcher for the New York Mets. Everyone say hello to Dickie Lovelady.
Wow.
Indeed. That is right. Rick and Julie.
His name has to be Richard.
Yes, they decided, Rick and Julie decided Richard Lovelady would be a great name for our boy.
Oh, he's a junior.
So he's a junior. Yeah, I was about to say, the Papas goes by that as well, does he not?
As a kid, you had to hope that he would never be famous.
I think the Papa goes by Ricky.
This would come back to bite him in the ass, right?
Ricky Lovelady, not that bad. Dickie Lovelady?
Is he related to wasn't there a Hurricanes player, Greg Lovelady, back in the day?
Greg Lovelady, that's a good one. Greg Lovelady.
I feel like he ended up I think he was he a catcher?
Played college baseball in Miami, where he was a catcher, and he
any relation?
That makes sense.
I don't know.
How many love ladies you know out there?
How many love ladies can there be, right?
How many love ladies?
How many baseball love ladies?
Yes.
It's not important. Either way. Dickie Lovelady, best of luck. You're a Met, so I hope you suck.
Okay, so you wish him no success.
I wish him no success. You're a New York Met. You can kiss my ass. One man whose success I always wish is Anfernee Chiang of the Miami Herald. A pro's pro, not a carnival barker like me. We talk about the Kevin Durant trade, DeMar DeRozan, Jonathan Kuminga, the whole landscape of your Miami Heat. If you missed Anfernee Chiang, he joins us next. Let's go to the Toyota of Hollywood guest line. Shop over 2,000 Toyotas on sale at one location at Toyota of Hollywood on 441 between Hollywood and Sheridan. And there we will find the great Anthony Chiang, Miami Heat beat reporter from the Miami Herald. Anthony, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good.
I'm good, buddy. My first question to you is, what were your plans on Sunday before Kevin Durant ruined them?
I actually was home that day, it was good timing. It wasn't bad timing. The day before would have been bad. I had my daughter's dance recital, so I'm glad it happened on Sunday. I kind of had a feeling it would happen by the end of the weekend, so I was like, Sunday, I'm going to watch the Panthers parade. I'm going to stay home, see if there's news. So it all things considered, when it could have happened, it was good timing.
What was, I guess, your level of surprise that the Heat didn't pull in Kevin Durant? There was, it seemed like some momentum was building from them from all the rumors and rumblings that were out there, but ultimately he ends up with Houston.
I wasn't too surprised because I knew they were going to draw a line, and other teams had more assets to put in the Durant trade, right? Houston, San Antonio really didn't get involved, but Houston had more assets. Minnesota had more assets. They probably should have been more, I don't want to say desperate, but more eager to get a Kevin Durant, because they felt like Kevin Durant in Houston puts them in a contenders. I mean, they're already contenders, right? But with Kevin Durant, now you could put them among the top 5 teams in the league, right? With Durant in Miami, yeah, he would have made them better, but are they a title contender? I think most would say probably not. So I think it just made more sense for Houston, and they also had more stuff to give. So I wasn't too shocked. Too shocked by the news. And again, just throwing the fact of knowing that they weren't going to put in everything to get KD. I mean, this was the same thing at the trade deadline. They had a chance to get him. Phoenix wanted too much. The Heat weren't willing to give up, Khalil Ware, all their young players, their draft picks. And we saw the same thing this time around, where they had a line they drew and they weren't going to go past it, and they really didn't budge.
Well, Anthony, first of all, this guy right here now all of a sudden tries to be reasonable radio guy. But I was saying the same thing, that all these other teams have so many more assets to offer, and he wasn't having it. Now, all of a sudden, he's open to the conversation, which is amazing to me. That being said, based on what the Heat offered, I came to the conclusion they weren't as interested as maybe we thought they were, because there is no way you could think, because the Heat know what everybody else has to offer. Sure. So you have to be in the ballpark, to maybe your player is more appealing, and then we can work out the draft picks. But if you don't put anything out there that's appealing, and all these teams have all these assets, how can you think that, to me, it just seemed like, based on what they offered, the Heat weren't as interested as we thought they were.
Yeah, I think they were scared off, obviously, by his age. He's going to be 37, injury history. Like the thought of, what if we give up Khalil Ware, Jaime Jaquez, these salary fillers, right? These big contracts that we could maybe use in another trade, multiple picks, or even one first-round pick, and then he gets injured mid-season, right? I know that's a what if, and you never know, but he is going to be 37. Can you depend on Kevin Durant to play at a high level through a long playoff run? We just saw in the playoffs this year, right? They're grueling, long playoffs, all the injuries this year. So it's tough. Like it's you have to weigh the pros and cons. Obviously, they're interested in Kevin Durant. I mean, he's an all-time great, still one of the NBA's top offensive players. Right. You look at his level of efficiency, amazing. But I think what we saw was, they were scared off by his age and injury history, and also kind of like they were faced with the reality of, maybe we're not a Kevin Durant away, right? Like maybe that's kind of the decision. They met, they talked it over. What are we going to do? What are we going to offer? What does Kevin Durant do for us if we give up these pieces and we deplete some of our depth? Where are we? Maybe they came to the realization that, look, that's not enough. So kind of a tough place to be if you're the Heat or a Heat fan, but I think that's kind of what we saw in the last few days.
And I think my unreasonableness yesterday, and why I was just upset, is it just, I don't really know where the direction is here then, right? Because they're going to be faced with this decision on Tyler Hero's extension. And we know, like in this new NBA, like, hey, once you kind of invest in your top 2 guys, investing in a third is very tough. It's very punitive. And if you don't feel close, hell, you can see some of the decisions that have to be made around the league. And so I'm just wondering, if you don't think you're a Kevin Durant away, then what does it say about what the organization truly thinks about Bam and Tyler being atop the organization? And do they have to come to some kind of decision there with them?
Yeah, no, it's an interesting question. And that's why it's going to be such an interesting offseason, I think, because they do have to pick a direction. And that Kevin Durant decision might have been them signaling what direction they're picking, right?
Right.
This team is never going to be a total tear down and the complete rebuild and trade everybody and just hoard 15 draft picks. That's not what they do. But could you see some type of rebuild? Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, unless Giannis becomes available and you surprisingly have enough assets to get Giannis, which they haven't had enough assets to get any star the last 5 years, right? Unless that happens, like that's kind of like the direction they're being forced to go. If you bring back most of this roster and without a significant star addition, you can't be in the luxury tax this year. Not because of money, but you're facing the repeater tax if you're in the luxury tax this year. It's just not smart business-wise, basketball-wise, the limitations that come with that stuff. You're probably going to have to shed money to get under the tax just because it makes sense, because you're not a true title contender. So they're going to be forced to pick a direction unless something surprisingly happens and comes up and an opportunity comes up to get a superstar in the next few months. I think they're going to have to pick it in that direction they pick is going to be probably to do a little bit of a rebuild, because that's really their only choice at this point.
Are you shocked that the way they talk about Kalel and Jovic, yet the way they played them doesn't really match up to what they think of those two guys? Because Kalel couldn't get on the floor in the beginning of the year, and now they're saying we can't trade him, we can't get rid of him. Well, he should be farther along, because I think you should have just took your lumps early on. You won 37 games, and you still have questions because he would sit on the end of the bench after 2 minutes.
Yeah, and it's a fair point, but I will say the counterpoint is toward the end of the season, Kalel Ware was a big part of what they did, right? The last 3 or 4 months, I mean, he was a starter. I know in the playoffs, kind of got played off the court a little bit, matchup-wise, his first playoff experience, but for the most part, he was a full-time starter those last 3 or 4 months. And Jovic, before the injury,
yeah, he was good.
He was playing maybe his most consistent role yet of his career, and most consistent basketball of his career. And I think the Heat during that flash before the hand injury, they were playing better. Jovic was a big part of that. I'm not saying Jovic's injury is why they won a 10-game losing streak, but there was that correlation of Jovic goes out, they start losing a bunch of games. So I think, yes, they didn't play a ton early in the season. Jovic lost his starting spot. He fell out of the rotation. But the second half of the season, Ware was obviously a full-time starter, and Jovic, if you take away the injury, which is lost a month and a half or so, he would have been a big part of that rotation as a sixth man. So maybe Jovic starts this year, maybe he doesn't. But I think if he's obviously still on the roster, he's gonna be a big part of what they do. He has to be at this point,
right? How much of this, and I tried to put myself in the Heat's position, and how much of this, because we've been saying this for the last 3 or 4 years. If we were healthy, this would be different. And they've been saying it because they've had key injuries for the last 3 or 4 years. And every year they'd come back because they don't really know what they have because everybody's been banged up. I don't think they played the same starting 50 games.
Yeah. No,
so how can you evaluate your team and your players when every one of them has missed substantial time other than Bam?
Yeah, I mean, this year, Hero and Bam were pretty healthy. The two best players were pretty healthy.
Right.
Yes, Jovic missed time. Ware really didn't have any big injuries. It was just kind of here and there, maybe miss a game or two.
Right.
Hawkins had his little, in and out during the season. Terry Rozier was available for most of the season. He fell out of the rotation, but he was available. So injuries weren't as much of a problem this year. I just think it was more the rotation was always in flux because they were trying to find something that worked. Obviously, the Jimmy stuff played a role in that. But when your rotation is in flux like that, and it's not because of injuries, it's more just because of trying to find some formula that works, usually means you're not a very good team, right? So I think that's the bottom line here is they found something that kind of worked down the stretch with Alec Burks and Davion Mitchell in the starting lineup, got him into the playoffs. They used that lineup in the play-in tournament. But yeah, I think everything's on the table now. If they bring back most of this roster, we know Bam and Tyler will probably start, or will definitely start, but beyond that, you'd think Kalel Ware starts. You would think if Davion's back, Davion starts. But who knows? Davion could be coming off the bench next year. So I think, I think we don't know kind of what this rotation will look like because there were so many variations of it last season.
So you had a little reporting on the status of DeRozan, DeMar DeRozan, and Jonathan Kuminga, and where the Heat's interested. Can you give us, I guess, the latest on where the Heat's saying, because their name was kind of kicked around with rumors there as backup plans. So do you have anything on that as far as where they stand or may stand with those guys?
Yeah, I know that the Heat has been linked to them by multiple reports the last week or so. Bear and I touched base with both those guys as of, I think it was Sunday. Was that the other Kevin Durant trade? I'm losing my track of days right now. I think as of Sunday, both the Heat has not been in contact yet with either of those guys, and either in regard to either of those guys. So obviously that could change. That was Sunday. The Kevin Durant trade just happened. Maybe yesterday or today that changes, but as of Sunday, there had not been any contact, in regard to both of those names, DeMar and Kuminga. DeRozan is interesting. I know Heat fans aren't super excited if they get DeRozan, but his contract is interesting because he only has $10 million guaranteed next season, which is pretty good contract, right? Like if you're looking for 2026 cap space, and yes, it's that $10 million, but it's not $30 million. So if you can get off a bigger contract for DeRozan, and you're able to save money next year, that might be appealing to the Heat while also getting DeMar DeRozan. Is he going to make you a championship contender? No. But could he help your offense? Yeah, why not, right? Like it doesn't hurt to have DeMar DeRozan, and it would take some of the pressure off of Tyler Hero. So we'll see. But yeah, as of Sunday, there had been no traction.
So you're basically saying Kuminga's too expensive.
Kuminga could be too expensive. I mean, he's younger. Right. He has more upside, obviously, than DeRozan. Right. You kind of know what DeRozan is. But I mean, you're kind of taking a chance, right? Like sometimes that works out. You look at the Pacers, like they got a bunch of guys on their second contracts, and that worked out for them. Guys that didn't drop, I got them young, got them on the second contracts, and it kind of a lot of them hit. Maybe Kuminga's that type of guy, but yeah, I mean, he hasn't shown the ability to be like an all-star yet, right? Like he's shown flashes. So how much are you willing to invest in a player like that still has a lot to prove? That's really the big question.
One of the things that I thought was interesting, at least I don't think I read that, but in your guys' reporting, it didn't seem like Duncan Robinson was in the talks. Now he's got a bit of a weird contract. Can you explain a little bit about like where things stand with Duncan and his deal? Because it's not fully guaranteed, but he has to pick like a date. Like what's the deal with Duncan Robinson's contract?
Yeah, he basically has until Sunday. He has a decision has an early termination option in his contract that would make him an unrestricted free agent. But if he bypasses that early termination option, he would have $9.8 million of his salary guaranteed, which his full salary is $19.8 million, but he would have $9.8 million guaranteed. So it would still be on the Heat's books. At that point, he obviously wouldn't be a free agent. And the Heat would have, I think, until July 8th is the day to waive him and save that $10 million, the additional $10 million off their books, which could be helpful if you want to get Davion right under the tax and you want to shed money. Or the Heat could keep him past July 8th. His full salary would be then guaranteed. I think he would be on an expiring contract, so maybe he can talk themselves into saying, well, we're already paying him close to $10 million. Let's just guarantee the rest of it. He's an expiring. He's a guy we could play that's obviously good, right? He's useful. And then he's an expiring contract, so maybe a contender wants a really good three-point shooter in Duncan Robinson and will take on that contract as an expiring deal, and we can use it as an asset. So Duncan has a decision to make, right, ahead of Sunday. We would think that he would not exercise the early termination option. You would want that $10 million guaranteed.
Right.
But then the ball's in the Heat's court of like, what do we do? Do we cut him and save the $10 million? Do we keep him past that date because we're already paying him $10 million anyway? It's going to be interesting to see. One other option, I know it's been explored. I don't think it's likely, but it could happen. Duncan could use the early termination option, become a free agent, and kind of renegotiate with the Heat a new contract of, let's say, we're going to give you the $9.8 million you got guaranteed, let's say this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then we add 2 more years to it. And let's say it becomes a 3-year, $33 million contract. Not terrible for a guy like Duncan Robinson, right? He's one of the NBA's top shooters. That's an option. I don't know if Duncan would do that, right? Because if he thinks he can get the $10 million he has guaranteed plus more money in the free agent market, why would you do that? But it is an option that the Heat has and that Duncan has if they want to explore that.
Talking to Anthony Chiang, Miami Heat beat reporter from the Miami Herald. And as far as Davion is concerned, do you have any any thought on like what his market is? Do you have any idea like what the rumblings are as like what it may take to re-sign him? Because I don't. Yeah. It's kind of hard for me in today's NBA. I don't know what a guy like Davion Mitchell deserves or gets because like the money and the contracts are so crazy. So, do we have any pulse on like what it will take to re-sign him or what the market may be for him?
It's interesting. I've seen it all over the place. I spoke to somebody during the playing tournament last year, I remember, and that was when he was playing really well. It's like, what do you think? I mean, Davion's playing awesome. Like, do you think he can get the full mid-level? They're like, I think he'd be lucky to get $5 million. I'm like, really? So but then there's a lot of people that think he's gonna get the full mid-level. So it's really hard to judge. It really comes down to, do teams think he could replicate that run he had with the Heat last year? Because he
plays an important role though. You can move Tyler off the ball, and they've been looking for somebody like that for 2 years, and Tyler always ends up handling the ball. So if you can move him off the ball, bring Davion up with the draft coming up, they're supposedly going to take that point guard. He takes the Davion role, and now you got Davion and you got Tyler together.
And defensively. I mean, you need someone to be able to, you need a point of attack defender. They haven't had somebody like that in a long time. Right. So yeah, I think he's going to get more than $5 million. Obviously, I think he's going to get closer to the full mid-level. Maybe he won't get the full mid-level of 14.1, but I could definitely see him getting to double digits. Right. So how far is the Heat willing to go? Did Davion play himself out of a Heat return because he played so well? I do expect him this week, maybe even today, we'll see, to extend a qualifying offer to Davion to make him a restricted free agent, which gives the Heat an advantage in bringing him back because they'll have the opportunity to match. But again, he really can't be a tax team this year. I mean, they could, but it doesn't really make sense for them to be a tax team this year. So it's like, it's being creative in trying to bring Davion back at probably a, not a huge salary, but, a good chunk of salary and still find a way under the tax. And does that mean cutting Duncan before July 8 and saving the $10 million to open up that room to bring Davion back? Does that mean making a trade to shed some money to free up that room to sign Davion? There's different ways they can go about it. But yeah, I think that he would love to bring Davion back, but it's going to depend on what he gets in the open market, really.
And they appreciate the time, man. Enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy draft night tomorrow night. See you at the arena, and enjoy the rest of your day, man. Thanks for joining us.
I was going to say, Brent, I think I should be the one interviewing you after your viral rant. That was spot on. Well done. Well done.
Hey, man. Like, look, I'm just frustrated. You know me, man. I want the big names. I'm spoiled, but I'm just confused.
The big names don't make sense.
That one made sense. No. To me, it made sense.
No, it made some sense, but I think it was well said. I think you kind of represented a lot of feelings for Heat fans. So I'm not surprised. I actually saw it live. I had just been happening to listen to the show in the car while you said that, and I was like, "Oh, this is gonna get popular around Heat Twitter." I kind of saw it happening. Well, so I wasn't surprised when I saw it all over the place a few hours later.
Yeah, will my name be on the list tomorrow? Is the question? Be like, I
think you're banned. I don't think your fingerprint's gonna work now.
Like first the Jimmy Butler question, now this. You're out of here.
Yeah, you're out.
Go watch it. Go watch it from the Hooters over at Bayside.
I'll bring pizza to you outside the arena.
Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
All right, bye guys.
Anfernee Chiang, Miami Herald. Go check out his work.